Man.
The Falls Count Everywhere podcast would like to mention our friends at the following. For the most intriguing wrestling stories and info on independent shows in multiple regions, nobody does it like We Talk Wrestling. Subscribe to Facebook's #1 interactive community for professional wrestling today. Pro wrestling on Tuesdays are a blast with the Wrestle Talk podcast. Join the entire crew every Tuesday at 7 p.m. as they bring their takes on the major circuits, showcase interviews with various indie stars, and news on the #1 fantasy wrestling promotion, the FWWC. Visit them at facebook.com/WrestleTalkPodcast and at WrestleTalkCast on YouTube and X.
All of us here show appreciation and love to our first responders, military, and volunteers that help our nation as well as protect and serve us every day. Thank you for all you do.
Get ready for episode number 157 of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast, as we welcome longtime, legendary, in-ring veteran whose name is synonymous throughout professional wrestling in the Midwest, and the recipient of the 2024 Cauliflower Alley Club Independent Wrestler of the Year Award, the Night Train, Gary Jackson.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Everybody, and we are here live. It's Sunday, August 11th, and we are here for episode number 157. That's 157 here at the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. Of course, I am Rough Cut Rick Ruby here on the left. Of course, to the right, the Gem City Mouse, Zmiz. And we're just kind of busy trying to get the show shared out to all of our platforms. And once again, that's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, at Falls Count Everywhere, and of course on X at FCE Podcast. And we thank everybody who's watching us here tonight. Go and throw up your comments and questions. And as we're going to get things started here, and see, I'll tell you, man, it's been quite the week getting things set up here, at least trying to get August situated here, because, man, I'm telling you,
busy.
I mean, it's been about 26 years since I've flown on a plane, bro. And, man, sometimes I'm excited, but yet I'm just kind of jittery and kind of like shaky about it, you know?
Well, I understand being pumped and hyped and like all that kind of stuff. Shake it off, man. It's gonna be a good time. You're gonna be in good company, as we just heard in the green room, as I was told. Yeah. I'm super jelly, but I'm super happy and proud of you and for you.
Man, yeah. Well, thank you very much. And like I said, we're going to have an excellent time here tonight, getting things prepped up, because next week, of course, is the Cauliflower Alley Club Reunion. That's down in Las Vegas at the Plaza Hotel and Casino. The 58th annual Cauliflower Alley Club Reunion. And like I said, we got Trent in here that's already shooting us hellos. Jason's in here as well, shooting his hellos in here. So, yeah, man, everybody who's watching this, please share this. Of course, all of our SICW faithful who's watching here tonight, you know, you're in for a good one. So I guarantee you that. But before we get to that here, we're going to go and take care of a little bit of business here on our side, and hopefully I've actually got this prepped. I'm going to put myself in studio mode. Oh, I almost messed it up. It's a good thing I put myself in studio mode. Good thing I did that. But I've got to do this because we've got to always pimp our stuff out, man.
Yeah.
And I'm telling
Get
you,
the
like I said,
merch.
guys, the most comfortable shirts you'll ever find is right here, and that's our Falls Count Everywhere podcast, jersey tee, and of course the We Talk Wrestling jersey tee, all by the Woke affiliates, and that is the Woke brand. That's WHOAQ brand.com. That's where you want to get your shirts, and that's where you can scan those QR codes. It'll get you right to the shirt where you can order it, custom order it. Of course, I got some over here, and if you're inquired about maybe getting a Falls Count Everywhere shirt, I got some in stock. Hit me up on. You can email me at falsecounteverywhere@gmail.com, or if you find me on Facebook, go ahead and hit me up, and we'll try to work something out here to make sure you can get one. Of course, I'm sure you could probably. Z might have a stash or some.
I have a stash myself of the shirts here in the house, so yeah, you can get a hold of me if you want one, or you can get a hold of my good buddy Terry over there at the Woke brand and get it shipped over to you ASAP. I know there's a lot of guys and girls are picking them up now. So,
oh yeah, they are. They're floating out there. I mean, my wife has pretty much got the same opinion as I have. Is probably about one of the most comfortable shirts ever worn.
Yeah, they are nice.
Yeah, they are, man. It's so easy. So if you're not wearing them, you're missing out, man. Go and buy them, support us, support Terry at thewokebrand.com. And let's get to some shows here. Of course, we're going to get into some of the SICW business here shortly. But August 24th is for American Championship Wrestling. That is the Isle of Capri Casino Hotel in Boonville, Missouri. Of course, I will be at that one. And, of course, a big show for ACW. And it's been a while since Boonville has had a show, I believe. But a lot of good action planned for that night. And, of course, even though it's at a casino, all ages are welcome. It's going to be off at a ballroom, so it's not like you have to go through a casino to get in. It's off the lobby. So you visit acwtheshow.com, where you can scan that QR code to get tickets for that show. Now, just right before we went on the air, and, of course, we're going to get into really briefly about Inhumane Championship Wrestling. You know how we talked about, hey, I got cheated out of the High Mania Cup, or at least I kind of felt, because I got counted out.
Oh, you got robbed. Don't play it down. You got robbed.
Okay.
You got robbed. We had conversations with Crusher.
Yeah. Well,
the Scared City Expo.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's just having fun with me or not, or he's just kind of being humorous in what way, but I like to know how I got signed up for a triple threat tables match. Of all things,
but there's that
August 31st. So, and the thing is, the winner of this match will face Devon Graves for the ICW title later that night. So the winner of this match is going to be pulling double duty. So, I don't know. I got to get ready for it. I know I'm not going through a table. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, you better not. It's going to be difficult to put you through a table, too.
Yeah. No.
So you have all the cards stacked in your favor. Don't get in your head. Put Alistair Payne through that table, because it's in his name. He likes the pain. So put him through the table. Give him what he wants.
Yeah. Well, this is Inhumane Championship Wrestling, and I guess they're putting this to a T, right? So
100%.
And then, of course, they just announced this last night after the show. So IEW coming back to Granite City on September 7th with their big card. The Query, the phase 3 of IEW, in the middle of phase 3. The Query is the next show. So I guess with the dealing with the dysfunction still, I assume. So,
yes.
Yeah. So that's always good. Or fun, I should say.
Yeah, and I heard Jody Ultra join Dysfunction potentially. He got involved in the Midwest title match, and hit Chris Exodus in the head with the Midwest title. But at the same time, Dysfunction does not leave with the Midwest title. We do have a new Midwest champion down there in IEW, and that is Johnny B. part of Class Action.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I don't know. Too much of a power trip to think about down there. So
Unfortunately, Zmiz didn't get there last night. The complications and stuff kept me out of the show. But
yeah.
far as I know, like it's just been a power trip on every end. There's people. Doug's fighting for his commissionership or was, and now he has commissionership. But now Dysfunction has the rights to the company because they won that. Class Action's trying to take. Everybody just wants a piece of IEW right now, and that's awesome. But we got to get it under control. It's just crazy mayhem down there, and hopefully things start to level out.
Yeah. Yeah, they will level out. And but that's all we got for right now, at least as far as the shows. Like I said, we will talk about some things SICW coming up because that's all we've got on our plate for now. We don't want to have our guest of honor wait any longer. Our feature guest tonight, and of course, also a guest of honor here as well. So we've actually got two people joining us here tonight on the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. Of course, the first gentleman has been on here several times, and he's been a continuous follower, watcher of our program. And we are very grateful and very appreciative of that as we're trying to make our trying to make a way here. And then also joining us tonight, our feature guest of the evening, and like I said, he's been involved wrestling in 5 different decades to date, and there's a long list of accolades in this business, including earlier winning this year the Sam Muchnick Award for the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, and this year he's going to be receiving the Independent Wrestler of the Year for 2024 at the Cauliflower Alley Club. So without further ado, everybody, please welcome our guest of honor this evening, Herb Simmons, and the main feature guest, the Night Train, Gary Jackson, everybody. All right. Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Doing great, man. How about you?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. Actually, I'm okay last night. I don't think I'm as sore as you are. Well, I guess in one way or another, but because we had a big battle down at the Monroe County Fairgrounds, and you coming away with a winner in that big cage match. So, so congratulations on that. Those are always tough to handle, and so man, I'm excited for you to be here. Of course, Herb, thanks for joining us again this evening to help along with this, because we're going to be talking a lot of things about what's happening in Las Vegas here next week. So I definitely appreciate you being on the panel here this week.
Fine. Appreciate the invite as always. You guys do a good job of keeping the business alive and keeping everybody updated. So it's always good to be part of it. And of course, anytime I can share the airwaves with the Night Train, Gary Jackson, that's an honor for me.
Awesome. And so like I said, I'm just delighted that both of you can be here, honestly. Because we want to take things in perspective here on the Falls Count Everywhere podcast when it comes to the professional wrestling business. Before we get any further into our in-depths of the evening here, Herb, I have not put up any posters. I do apologize. I've been running behind. But I know SICW's got a lot of things to close out the month of August. If you could kind of tell us where we're at here with the remainder of August for SICW.
Sure. It's for the rest of the year is pretty busy for us, but August, next Saturday we got a double hitter. We go back to the Worldwide Technology Raceway for our second big event there with the NASCAR folks, and it's really been a good tag team that we're doing with them. We've got this one and then one more in September, and we'll see where it goes from there. I think Gary would attest to that our first show there was great. They had over 80,000 fans there in a 2-day period. So we were fortunate to give them a great show there. But we'll be there on the early afternoon on the 17th, and then we have a private show in downtown in the Soulard Market area. We were there last year at the Soho Apartments. They always do one for their tenants there. It's been a great time last year, and they asked us to come back. Of course, the Cauliflower Alley trip, we leave to go out there. I do on the 19th. So we'll be at there when we'll talk about that a little later. But then immediately when we get back, August 24th, we're lucky and happy. We're going back to Belleville to the Little Devils. Belleville's own Bobby D takes care of setting that up each year for a fundraiser for their wrestling gear and all the functions they do for the kids, helping them out, getting them molded as life, as we all know, has challenges for these young kids. And Bobby being a coach, so each year we help the Little Devils raise money. So that rounds out August. So and then September is just as busy, and October and November. So we're on the road trips with us ICW.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, great way to wrap up August. I'll actually will be at that private show next week. And of course, like I said, if it's private, it's closed. So get out to the worldwide technology.
I hope you don't end up in the pool.
Oh my God, no. My God,
Don't do that.
That's
Do
not
that.
going to be good for my
Yeah.
boots, man.
No, that'd be funny.
Well, but seriously, early in like in the second year of my career, okay, it was in Hannibal, water park in Hannibal, Missouri, and it was at nighttime, and it was like a six man like all out like no holds barred match, and
Wait a minute. Time out. They had a wrestling show at a water park in Hannibal, Missouri.
yes, in '98, yes, and
Wow.
I think it was me and Brian James that battled out to the wave pool, and I actually got suplexed in the pool, and I actually like I I did take off the ledge, and I did take a splash in the pool, and that chlorine is not it doesn't that chlorine is bad for gear, man. It's
Yeah.
bad for gear. It's bad for. I mean, it just ate away at my boots that I was wearing at the time, and it ended up like the stitches that were on the soles. It just weakened them. I actually had to throw those boots away eventually. Thank God I didn't put my original boots in there. It could have got worse. So yeah.
I mean, that is one of my favorite shows that I missed from WCW when they used to do the like spring break show where they went to where was that?
Yeah. It wasn't
Vegas, wasn't it? No,
I thought it was near like Disney or something like that. Or,
I don't remember.
I don't know if it was
The
Universal.
ring was over the pool.
Yeah, it was over the pool, but they did Nitro. Yeah.
Scott Hall jumped into it. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Sorry to get sidetracked.
The latter days of WCW. Yeah.
Well, last year it was Big Nasty, Glenn Williams, and Sean Vincent that they got.
Yeah, they took the dive into the pool last year.
with
I
the,
do
with
remember
the
that.
help of Bob Orton. So
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, Bob, I'll tell you, you don't want to mess Bob on any day.
Thank you, Chuck.
What?
This is Panama City.
Oh, okay. Club Lavella in Panama City.
Yeah.
That's right. It was Panama City, Florida.
Soon as he said the city, I knew what it was. So
There you go. That's right. Well, Gary, we're going to go ahead and get underway here with you once again. I do thank you for joining us. And so going back, like, so we're going to go back to the beginning. We're going to try to, we can't get through everything, obviously, because, I mean, I'm not going to show your age, but I mean, I will say that you grew up watching through the territory era of professional wrestling, and which means, of course, around the St. Louis area, which is for wrestling at the Chase. So, if you can give our audience the backstory on how you were able to watch the matches down at the Chase, and who are your inspirations inside the ring, wrestling down at the ballroom.
Me or Herb?
No, you, Gary. I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh,
You.
okay.
Yeah, Gary.
Well-
it's you.
Well, I'm just like any other family back in those days, wrestling at the Chase, late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. My mom worked at Ruggeri's restaurant, which was a famous restaurant on the hill.
Oh yeah.
Mickey Garagiola was the waiter there. So
Okay.
wrestling at the Chase had a rule: if you had to be 16 and older to get in. All you had to do was send a stamped envelope into the studio, and they would send you the free tickets back. Well, right when I was approaching about 15 and a half, 16, Mickey told my mother that I can come to the shows, and I just had to meet him at the back door at that time at Wrestling at the Chase. And therefore, that was my ticket to get inside um, of the studio wrestling to see the show. Now, regardless of what you hear from Darla Staggs, she claimed that I did it illegally, that I snuck into the show. No, Darla, somebody let me in the back door, and his name was Mickey Garagiola. Mickey Garagiola. So
Man,
that was my first live studio of seeing that show.
wow. Wow, that's awesome. Well, and I don't know if I just didn't, if the fact just went over my head, but Mickey Garagiola was a waiter at a restaurant on the hill. I just never would have pictured that. Um, but
Gotta get your cheese somehow.
And
well,
and the name of the restaurant was called Ruggieri's, and that was no, I mean that was the top of the line back in those days. That's when people, when they went out to dinner, they would ask for Mickey. You would wear your suit and tie, so it was a big deal.
oh man, yeah. I mean, some of these places still on the hill today are are pretty top notch. I mean, and as far as like you need a reservation, there's a dress code. There's still some places on the hill that still require that.
Mhm.
Still trying to keep up with um, no not having that changed and keeping that standard is pretty awesome. As far as like having that on the um yeah, but man, I'll tell you, yeah. Of course, the hill is nothing but Italian. I'm a big lover of food. Obviously, if you can't tell, but but
I
I
think one of us are.
but I love me some good Italian food, and man, the hill's the place for it. I'm telling you, man.
So, Gary, after you got your itch in professional wrestling, who was the one that helped you get trained and get really started in the business, molding your craft? And what were some of the best takeaways from that experience?
Well, um, I decided after high school, I decided not to go to college. I decided to go into the United States Army at that time.
Thank you for your service.
Uh, Everything was going good. Back in 1982, I just happened to be looking at Georgia Championship Wrestling. Now I'm in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Looking at, that's when the cable thing was just throwing the buzz for us. You know, Ted Turner's cable stuff just spreading all over the place. And I was on the local base wrestling team, and we was out doing maneuvers one day. And man, it was cold as heck being out there doing those maneuvers, being in a sleeping bag. And I just happened to, to flick on the TV set and look at wrestling coming out of Georgia, and I decided then and there that my days in the Army is over. I want to be a professional wrestler. So that started in 1983. I got discharged September 1983, came back to St. Louis. I started my journey the day after I got my foot back on the ground in St. Louis. I started down at the Kill Auditorium. I had no luck down there, and it just so happened that a police officer, and I really can't remember his name, ended up telling me about the South Broadway Athletic Club down on 7th and Shenandoah, and that's where it all started.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, getting down to the keel, though, I mean, even just to make a stab at that, I mean, that's pretty bold, you know, um, because I've always wanted to, what it would be like if someone just decided, just take their first crack to get in the business by going to somewhere big or something that's more. But I commend you for it. I mean, because especially it's it's something in this business, they don't count how many times you get down or how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you get back up or what you can do better. So,
Well,
or finding another outlet. In this case, with you, going on the South Broadway, and of course, Broadway at the time, I guess they started what 71, I believe. So they've been around for a good while. Um,
yes.
yeah, so they um, definitely a good way to get your foot in the door there. So
Now you got to remember back then and there was nobody advertising wrestling schools at all. And that's when the business was strictly the business.
right, of course,
Now I'm fast forwarding this story because back then no wrestling school was ever advertised. So you really have to know somebody, man. I didn't have a good friend in wrestling. I didn't have a cousin in wrestling. I damn sure didn't have a damn daddy in wrestling. I just got lucky that kept going down to the kill after the matches and ran into somebody who told me where to go.
yeah,
Because this business was a secret society. And that
yeah,
is what we really have lost in today's world. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking change, but now the door is wide open for you to walk through to be a professional wrestler. When I came through, you had to earn your keep.
yeah, yeah. I totally agree with you there because you didn't really see anything. And even when I was watching as a young child myself, you didn't really get any exposure of how you could get in. And like really the first advertisement I've seen of like maybe getting into the business was when World Class was syndicated up around here, and gentleman Chris Adams put on an ad for his academy if you want to come down to Dallas, which is, we've had some names that went down there, with Steve Austin, even local names like this around here, Alan Ward or the Hollywood Stud, God rest his soul, actually went down there to get his training as well. At least to kind of get started before he came back up here. But yeah, I mean, I totally get it. I mean, it's not like it's average. A lot of academies are advertising these days, and it's like it's all the places are everywhere. And now the difficult part of that is, where do you think you're going to get your best, uh, basically, return on investment per se? Like where if where do you want to go? Like who's going to give you the best tools to progress you far in this business if that's the goal that you want to do? Do you want to do this I mean, do you want this just to do this to kind of for your fans or your family around here, or do you want to go travel the country? you know it's how you want to do it. um but no, it's definitely a secret society back in the days, and that mystique is lost, and I actually do kind of miss it. But yeah, like I said, I don't think they would even advertise. Herb, I guess you kind of answered this for me. I mean, what was anything like any type of academy was like advertised in the paper or anything like that back in the day that you can recall?
No, none. As Gary's right, it was such a closed business. In fact, if you would even approach one of the workers back in the day at one of the shows and just say, "Hey, I want to be a wrestler," they wouldn't even talk to you. I mean, it was such a tight business. And as Gary said, unless you had somebody in the business before you, or unless you knew somebody, it was a heck of a time to get into it. Nothing like it is nowadays. I mean, as you all know, I'm preaching to the choir. You just show up to a show, and man, they're reaching out to the audience and grabbing people out of it.
Some companies do, unfortunately.
And,
Yeah.
and you know some Herb Simmons right there. I'm gonna give him a whole lot of credit because I just happened to be down in South Broadway when Herb poked his head through the door, and that's when I started doing business with Herb. Herb is truly the original promoter in this area. I didn't know anything about Herb Simmons until I saw a trailer at South Broadway. So when Herb Simmons walked through that door and looked at the talent, guys was breaking their backs to meet Herb Simmons, to be on this card. Sooner or later, I smartened up and found out who Herb Simmons was, and Herb put me on this card. We had a lot of guys around here, and Herb bringing talent like he do now. I just happened to get lucky, and I got put on the card with Herb Simmons, and they ain't never looked back.
Yeah, and like I said, Herb is what probably been doing this over 50 years. So
Well, and to follow up on that, I know I was invited over there to check the talent out. I remember that as if it was yesterday, and there was a lot of talent that came through South Broadway Athletic Club, even back before my late friend Tony Costa took over. Gary, and you'll remember, Bull Brannigan was there, and Timmy Kearns was running it for a while, and Bill Osborne and people like that, Chris Guyson, and the list goes on and on. And but that was a place that they were working out, and if you wanted to go look for talent, you could find some there, and that's what I did.
yeah, I mean it's just kind of like I said, I guess I'm glad you brought up the years, kind of, Gary, because I mean we're going to get into that a little bit more, but well, one thing, like I said, I've mentioned on here a few times on the show, when I had my first ever I went to my first ever local show, and I think it's crazy. I think my dad actually won tickets to this event, or got tickets to this event somehow. They never handed them to him. It was like September of '85, and I'm sitting here like in front row, and I'm seeing this old rustic ring, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, freak, there's a ring. Like, who's going to be here? So I had no idea who any of the guys were at the time. And then for the first match, and one of the guys that came out was this guy below me, as the Jack Attack back in the day. I mean, just to show, I was 10. So, I mean, just to kind of like, man, like some things just kind of come like full circle, and it was just kind of cool for me in a way.
It's not my fault you get old.
Yeah.
This goes back to Texans thing.
Hey, Zmiz, I thought we weren't going to talk about age.
Hey, I've been really good this whole time.
Oh, no, I know you have. I'm waiting for you though.
If you want to say how old you are, that's on you, man.
The only thing about the age thing that I kind of miss, I've been in the business about 5 years now. I wish it was still like it was, like you guys say, how you had to find somebody you knew or met weaseled their way in. I would like to say that I could be like a Paul Heyman to this era, where I've weaseled my way into the company. I hope that could be a thing, because that's somebody I look up to, and I've looked up to most promoters, actually. So Herb, you're one of them, and you and I have talked about that many of times. But that old school style of like knowing someone in the business to get into business, as one of the young guys, I wish it kind of still existed that way. Like, I don't understand the whole concept of like the backyard thing and then hating on it, because like there's a lot of guys, that's how they cut their teeth and got beat up and got their butts kicked, and then they're like, oh, you're pretty good, we'll keep whipping you, and then you push them farther up the card, right? So like, I kind of wish that was kind of the style, but it is what it is. It's what the world we live in. I still believe in training, so if that's anything.
Absolutely.
Well, if you think about it, I think everybody started in the backyard. I know me and my brother did. Some people talk about how they moved the furniture in the living room, and they wrestled on the carpet. So we all started out basically in the backyard or in the front room, move the furniture on the carpet. So,
no, I agree.
I think there's such a misconception of that term of backyard. Yeah, there's a lot of that's went on, and everybody says, "Oh, well, that's what Mick Foley used to always brag about," and that's probably true to the fact that as a promoter, if one of the first questions I will ask somebody who sends me information or contacts me have you been trained? Where have you been trained at? And believe it or not, there are honest people still in this world that would say, well, yeah, my neighbors and I used to go out in the backyard. That doesn't disqualify them from getting a shot. The only thing it does is I tell them then, okay, then let's take it a step further. Let's talk about getting some real training done, because the backyard stuff is not real training. And so I think it's not a derogatory statement. It's just that, hey, better yourself. Get somebody, get somebody, go down to Dory Funk, or go to the Bob Orton School or wherever, and then put that name on your resume. That goes a long way, better than just saying my brother and I wrestled out in the backyard. Believe me.
Well, going off what you're saying, I think that's one of the big problems within my generation of wrestlers coming up, or guys getting into the business, is they automatically think that the older guy saying something like that is a negative statement to it, but it really is just the push to go, okay, can I help you train? Can I help push you farther? So if I can sit there and listen to your remarks and go, you did this, this, and this, but now we need to do this, this, and this. Can you do this, this, and this? If you can't do this and this, then you got to get to the back of the line. You're no longer good to me. That's how it works, unfortunately. And I think a lot of the young guys in my generation don't have that mindset to be willing to be trained or willing to change what they trained on.
Yeah, and when some people hear that the backyard, it turns them off right away. And there's a lot of talent out there that's how they got started. As Gary said, everybody has done that that's been in the business. They wrestled, they moved the furniture, they went out and got on a trampoline and practiced this and that. But there's a lot of talent out there, even on the big stages nowadays, did the same thing as that. It doesn't disqualify them from getting in the business.
Amen.
Right. And I think probably the conception I'm sure that Gary will back me on this. I mean, sure, you can kind of practice what you did in the backyard, but if you want to get ready to go out and perform for a performer, you have to have some formal training, not in the backyard. I mean, it's got to be somebody from a reputable trainer, someone who's been in the business, someone who's done this and knows what they're doing. That's what you have to do. You just can't train yourself in the backyard and then go to a promoter and ask that for a spot on the show. Be like, yeah, well, I've done work in the backyard. And that promoter, I'm sorry, Herb, that promoter would be a damn fool if he accepted that person onto a card like that.
Yeah,
because you're just asking for all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, well, and not only that, it's a liability, and that's what a lot of the young men and women don't understand. They don't look at it from a liability standpoint. They just want to go out there and be involved. And gosh, give them credit and attaboys for doing that, because they are the generations and to come. But if they would just take that little bitty step and understand that as a promoter, we're not here to discourage anybody. We need talent. And we need talent that wants the drive and the passion to go out there and do it. But the backyard, or whatever you want to call it, is just a very small part of what the business consists of. And Gary, you and Dave, you guys can speak on that. Promos and knowing the lingo that needs to be done. You don't learn that in the backyard.
No, because you got to.
This right here is the big one. What Texan said, and you want to work people better than you. You want to work people that are going to bust your balls and be like, you didn't do that right, but we can clean that up and do this better. We can do that better. Because that's how you get better, is working the people that are better than you.
Yeah.
Not only do, we had backyard wrestling. I had a cousin, man. He used to do backyard mixed martial arts. And I said, are you crazy? Why don't you get some proper training and try to at least make a few bucks out of it? But they used to like to get together on the weekends, draw straws, and have damn near burn knuckle fights. I said, you got to be crazy, man. Why waste your time?
Slides, baby.
This is just not a wrestling thing, man. All this stuff ties into what we're talking about. Backyard wrestling, backyard mixed martial arts, backyards burn knuckle fights.
Where do you think baseball players learn how to play baseball?
Oh no, it was never in a backyard. Football players? Oh no, they were always on the field.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know if you guys were understood that, but everything pretty well starts on the ground floor,
Yeah.
the backyard, and again, so it's just got a bad rep over the years, and unfortunately, some people take that as a criticism, and but again, they ought to take that as a coming from the promoter's point of view as, hey, good, take the skills that you've learned there and get them brushed up
Yep.
in a professional manner.
Absolutely. And kind of getting back to what I was going to ask here, because within my first couple of years, getting into experience, you've kind of, getting your feel for the business. So, throughout your first couple of years of experience, Gary, can you recall any of the shows that stuck with you one way or another, whether it be kind of good, bad, just off the wall, like what am I doing here? With them, that would make you think, what am I doing here if I'm doing a show like this, type of thing. I mean, have you come across anything? I guess in the beginning that just kind of made you kind of ponder, why you chose this.
And
I
Gary,
mean, you know,
Gary, I know they didn't tell you this at the beginning, but this is a truth program. You have to be truthful.
oh yeah, some that's not a problem. I mean, I got so many I could talk about, so I'm gonna answer those questions. Probably my greatest show was when I first got my first match, real match, August of '84 at the South Broadway Athletic Club. Prior to that, I was in my training, uh, being in battle royals, not really having a match, just a guy who's trying to get a break. My first true match was in 1984 against Ricky Robinson. No, fast forward that. Yes, I've been on some bad shows that I never go back to, and that's all part of the learning process. There's nothing wrong with that. When you learn something, you move on. Some guys want to be the big fish in the little pond. I wanted to be the big fish in the big pond with everybody else. So I moved on. I just really never said, hey, man, this show right here is the drizzling shit. I said it to myself. I just never went back. I just never went back.
Hey, tell them what you really thought about the show in 1987 at the Dupo High School gym when you went out to break up Bruiser Brody and Abdullah the Butcher.
That's what I mean. Another great show like that, and because of what I did, two good things happened. Abdullah the Butcher booked me and the Giant Assassin to do a show in Chicago. We flew up there. We flew back. I'm at home. I get a phone call from Larry Madisick. Him and Bruiser Brody was talking about the local talent that Herb Simmons promote, and my name came up. Bruiser Brody said, hey, I like that Gary Jackson. He reminds me of Dick Night Train Lane, who played football for the Detroit Lions. Larry said, we got a nickname for you. We want to call you Night Train. Do you have a problem with that? I go, no, sir, I do not. I actually fell off my mother's couch when he said that, because a guy of Bruiser Brody's capability and his reputation can think of a little guy of Gary Jackson. Man, that's one of the highest compliments I can ever get in my life. I embrace that.
Now, the story behind that is that fight that I told you that there was about 2,200 people packed into the gymnasium that day. And when we sent the locker room out to break up Abby and Brody, he got in between them, and then Brody took him about midway down the basketball court and slammed him headfirst into the brick wall. Mm-hmm. And he knew right then and there.
I got the kick. Bill Osborne got the wall.
Yeah. You
both got the kick, man.
You both got kicked in the head.
Yeah, brother, I got the kick.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, you learning. You out there with the heavyweights. Man, you just doing your thing. I mean, you were true to professionals, and once they did that to me, like I told Herb Simmons earlier, I said I think that really was getting me ready because I wanted more, man. I wanted more. When I got that kick and was involved with that, I'm like, this is what I want to do every single night of my life. Yep.
Man.
So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, so that was in '87. I mean, did you have much? Because I know there wasn't much time for trying to get into No Bruiser from that time. But did you get a chance to have any type of any other conversations with him after he gave you that moniker?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, believe it or not, Herb ran a whole lot of shows, everywhere from Dupont to Centralia, Illinois, to Taylorville, Illinois, all over the place. So now back then, I didn't hang out with them as much as I do now because I'm like, hey, the match is over with. Thank you guys. I'm going to the bar, or I'm going to get something to eat, whatever. I didn't hang out like I did. But a lot of people don't know that Bruiser Brody was ready to take over. He's going to be the book in World Class Wrestling, and he was talking to myself and some other guys that he wanted to come down there and be part of that program. But in 1988, we know the tragedy that happened in Puerto Rico. It never did happen.
Wow.
Oh man, yeah.
And see, prior to that, we was just in Taylorville, Illinois. I can't remember. I don't know if it was April or May, but it was pretty warm. And he was going to Puerto Rico, coming back, and they say, hey, I get back with you guys.
Wow. Wow.
So maybe give us a rundown down in the Spotatorium down in Dallas. You went out down there as the Night Train JoJo Jackson. Why did they decide to change your name down there, and what made you want to go back to Gary Jackson, the Night Train?
Well, that was a Memphis thing. I was with Memphis at that time, with the Jarretts. Of course, in that territory, we had Eric Embry, Dr. Tom Pritchard, Stunner Steve Austin, which we all know as Stone Cold Austin, Bill Dundee, Jerry Lawler. It was just one of those things.
I still believe Stunning Steve Austin is a money-making gimmick. The Hollywood Blondes, one of my favorite things in professional wrestling was Stunning Steve Austin.
Yep. Well, see, I mean, that was their idea to use the JoJo thing, and I was fine with that as long as I kept the Night Train. Then when we go down to World Class down there on that end, we had John Tatum, we had you had the Texas group on that end. Mm-hmm. We was coming out of Tennessee, and back then they was doing a little rivalry, Miss Texas, Miss Tennessee, that type of thing.
Now, before you got the moniker, the Night Train, did you have any other monikers before that, or was that your first one?
No, it was like what Rick said, Jack Attack.
Nice.
Yeah, the jacket.
And I got that from playing football.
Awesome. Okay.
That's yeah. Yeah, a cool looking ring jacket and everything, man.
I still got that. I wish I would have kept my boots.
I mean, Texan sent me a picture that I want to show, but I'm not going to.
No, we're not going to do that.
Was that the Riverfront Times?
I don't know where it's from, but it's.
Hey, don't show it, man. I'm proud of everything I done.
Go ahead and show it.
Don't show the picture.
I can't do it, Ruby. I sent it to you. Wait, hold on. Maybe I can here.
But let's just say I didn't know that Gary was such a fan of leaves.
Yeah, I didn't know he was such a
that's
a
a
Greek god. Can you bring it up? Bring it up, Ruby, because I can't. I don't.
I can tell you how why we came aboard with that picture right there.
I can't find where to do it.
He got some good publicity out of that.
I've been trying not to like break this whole time because Texas sent me that and I was giggling. It's a little more about Gary Jackson than I
You
wanted to
told
see.
me that, and I saw Jim. I knew that's what he was talking about.
That picture was on the cover.
The cover, yeah, it wasn't an insert; it was a cover.
It was on the cover, brother.
Cover.
I'm
Can I
proud of
ask
that
what? Because I'm not for sure. What was the cover?
Riverfront Time
Riverfront
magazine.
Times.
Okay. Holy cow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
You got to bring that up now, Ruby. We got to show the fans because this is pure gold.
heck, he signed thousands of copies of it.
Yeah, brother. I was surprised that they put him on the cover. I mean, when I saw that, man, I actually stole all the magazines and took them home.
he got them all.
They weren't looking. I grabbed all of them and I brought them home.
Johnny B, first and foremost, hello. Welcome to the group. We're going to see this great picture. It's not showing on my side. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to studio mode. Sorry.
But on behalf of myself and the IAW roster, Johnny B, congratulations on being the Midwest champion.
Man,
Johnny B is a good friend of mine. Him and his parents, God rest their soul, both of them, sweet parents that he had. Used to bring him to our shows many, many years ago, and him becoming a champion is a milestone that his mom and dad probably are smiling down on him right now.
Yeah, his kid last night was super proud and happy of his dad. It's a cool thing. It's Johnny and I came into the business kind of the same time, so it's kind of that camaraderie, your respect for each other, and I'm really proud of the work that the IAW roster is doing, specifically him and so many others down there. Jody Ultra, we've had him on the show with several others, but he's really, really putting things together and starting to listen very well, and it's awesome to see.
He'll tell you that him and I have spent some long hours of texting back and forth, and I've tried to give him pep talks, and I hope some of it has worked. And I think it has, because he's hung in there and he's done the right thing, and hard work pays off.
Yeah.
most certainly does. Hey, I'm about done.
You got it?
Because I want to kind of get reactions here.
Oh, you're going to get some reaction.
This is going to be good stuff, I'm telling you, man.
All right, so I think I'm good. I think I'm good here. So we're going to transition into this right now. So are you able to see it?
It's not showing.
Is it not showing?
None of your posts today have been showing, because like you saw the ACW one. We did not see the Inhumane Championship Wrestling or the IEW poster. We apologize to both Inhumane Championship Wrestling.
That's because that leaf is blocking everything out.
The majority of us don't want to see that, Gary.
Oh, man.
What about, is it working now?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Now
I see it in the screen thing for your edit, but I don't see it in the edit. If that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got it. Yeah, don't worry. This will happen. So
we will see this. Go ahead with your next question then, Ruby. We'll just keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so okay. Yeah, so Gary, like I said, you said that you served in the Army. Whenever you first started. Of course, like I said, we always appreciate everybody that served this country. We want to make sure we recognize those, because if it wasn't for people who serve in the military and fight for our country, we wouldn't have our freedoms. I still believe on that. But as far as serving, how long did you serve, and then what kind of acknowledgments were you given during your time that you served?
Oh man. I once I got out total time, and I went from 80 to 83. I finally got out in 86. Then that's when the ball started rolling. And then when business kind of slowed up back in 94, I went back into the Missouri Air Force National Guard. And I stayed there into 2014, and I retired there as a master sergeant.
Wow.
So between those points, man, I have got a lot of different awards from hard work, stuff like that. But the most award that I treasure the most is back in 2006 when I was over in uh, shoot, it escapes my mind at this point. But I was in charge of mortuary affairs,
Oh,
and I was responsible of getting 13 American soldiers, fallen soldiers, back to the United States, and I got credit for that. So that's probably my most important award that I cherish the most.
that's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. Uh, yeah, actually I tried going out for the army,
Hold on,
but
I'll be right back. I'm gonna show you something.
uh-oh. Okay.
He's gonna go get the magazine.
Okay.
Is he? Just go right for it. That's something I wanted to do. I wanted to go into the service. I thank our servicemen and women every day.
Yep.
Yeah, it's still not showing up. Like it's showing where it's supposed to be,
Oh, it's
but
showing
it's
where
not.
supposed to be, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not showing. Nothing.
That's crazy. Okay.
You see that?
Oh wow!
That's my shadow box.
Oh wow. Wow. Look at all
That is
this.
awesome.
But you don't have the magazine in there.
It won't fit, Herb.
Oh man.
Dude, that thing's amazing though.
Yeah.
So that's just a list of all my awards, my ribbons, and everything. But like I said, my proudest moment is when I was over in it wasn't Kuwait. It was when I was in Qatar, where we did the mortuary service affairs and all that over there, and I was got credit for the fallen soldiers who came through on their way back home to America. Yep.
Awesome. Am I still not showing anything on the main screen, guys?
Here, I'm gonna. There it is.
There it is.
Yep. See? Yep. It couldn't have happened to a better person than me.
There's that joy.
Now, the funny thing about taking that picture in that room, boy, it was getting cold.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw it, I'm like, "Why is he sending me a picture of Tony Atlas?" But then I realized who it was.
Hey, Zmiz, Jim says that's a big leaf.
Hey, now, I did that. The reason why the little thing about that was they did a story on me, and I was working as a heel as gorgeous Gary Jackson, and the guy said, "Hey, my photographer is coming down to take pictures at the next show." Of course, I get the best outfit I got. I had on my Roman gladiator stuff. I had my helmet on. It's been a while since I worn that. And if you guys ever saw the movie 300,
Yes,
gladiators and all that stuff, at 3000, that is what I wore. I had all that stuff on, and the photographer said, "Okay." That was her idea, was to get me the crown. And as you see, I'm painted in gold. That's just on one side. We probably had about 20 to 30 little tubes of gold painting right there that went to the front. Each time I turned, I had to do this. I couldn't move. If I moved too far around, I would have to repaint and this and that. And then she said, "Here's the leaf. Put it on." And I'm like, "We got to do this pretty quick because it's getting cold in here and it's not going to hang on." By then, I was naked. Now, we did that at the Duck Room out in Blueberry Hill.
Oh, wow.
Maybe a week or two prior to that, They had these naked ladies on this mat in the peace sign that was on the cover of the Riverfront Times, and that same duck room on that same tarp that was on the ground. But they had to pull. I found they had to pull that article out of the public because they were naked. So, but I was in the famous duck room in the basement on that same mat that they had the naked ladies on it in the peace sign.
Chuck Berry was upstairs playing.
Yep.
It's still an amazing photo.
Yeah, yep.
It's still, it's great.
Wow.
So, actually, my next question actually comes. Jim brings it up too. Texan brings it up. Tell us some of the stories in the '90s. You went through and did some work for WCW, WWF, and NWA, and
Yes.
give us some backstories on how those ventures came about. What kind of the experience was, and was it really hard working with Shawn Michaels?
I tell you what. When I went out on the road, I started in '84. I went out on the road with Kansas City Central States Wrestling for about 4 months, and that's where I got to know people, making phone calls. So when I was doing those tapes for WCW and WWF, it really wasn't hard at all. The hardest part, really, man, was just getting booked, because at that time, remember, Vince, the big machine is rolling. Hulkamania is live and running. So all these territories, man, that Vince is buying up or they done went out of business, guys are doing favors for friends, this and that. See, I never had nobody to speak up for me in the sense of, hey, Gary Jackson is he's my friend, he's this and that, this and that. I did all the work myself. I was making all the phone calls. And then if I knew you was in town within a 300-mile radius, I would drive with my gear in the car with me. I'm going to stress that again for all you youngsters out there. You come to these shows, you want to be a worker, bring your gear with you. Bring your gear, bring a good attitude with you. And that is really how I got in the door. Going to these shows, knowing people, just having a good attitude, knowing the basic skills of wrestling, and that'll get you a lot. Always tell the story that it's a lot of guys who was better than me in the St. Louis area. I was just always ready to go. Some of these guys, they doubt themselves, and at that time, they had relationships. I was still single, living in my mother's basement, so I had no responsibility. Again, when I said earlier, I want to do this every night on the road, so I was always ready to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was one of your favorite experiences with the larger companies?
Well, so when you get there, first of all, once you do those shows, Vince McMahon knows everything about everybody who comes through that door. WCW, you go over there, as soon as you walk through that door, they know everything about you. And the reason why Vince is so powerful like he is his inner circle who he trusted from guys who wrestled for his dad. I don't care what these people say or do. I was there when it was started. Vince's inner circle was the guys who he trusted that wrestled for his dad. And they know everything about you. When the guys, they come talk to you, they know and I can't stress that enough. You just talk to them about 5 or 10 minutes, they know everything about you because they're looking at how you talk, the questions that you answer, your attitude, your ring presence, everything. That is why I got a lot of calls, from WWF. We're going to go to the other side of the street, WCW, the same way. They know everything about you. Not one promoter on that level never told me, don't call us, we'll call you. I used to see guys get kicked out all the time. They would tell these guys, "Get your stuff and get out of here." I
Mm,
never was ever disrespected like that. I never ever disrespected the business. I never tried to shoot on nobody. Always just want to be a great role player because I knew my time would come. You know, because I was getting these, I was getting phone calls.
That's awesome.
yeah, 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 for certain, man. Yeah. So in the, I know you faced Scott Hall, Razor Ramon in WWF. You also faced Shawn Michaels too, as
Yes.
well. And I guess that was all in '92
Well,
as
you know
well.
something. Now I'm working the territories. I'm in Central States. Shawn Michaels had just left the Central States territory.
Oh
Scott
my,
Hall was in the Central States territory. Marty Jannetty was in the Central States territory. Harley Race owned the Central States territory. So when I'm in the territory, I'm working with all these stars: Harley Race, Ric Flair, Rufus R. Jones. Oh man, it goes on and on and on and on. You know, it's sort of like how we work as ACW, SICW, Mid States Wrestling. It's like that, you know. And we always gonna see each other down the road, somewhere down the road.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just kind of crazy how some things just pan out. So and I mean, I wish you know, I mean, I always wanted to see what it would like to be on the big stage, of course.
Mhm.
You
And
know,
and again, they test you with little things that we always stress it. The basic stuff of wrestling. Can you do a headlock? Can you do a arm drag? Can you do a hip toss? Because now
right,
remember, they don't know you. They don't trust you. You're not going to mess up their money being a hot shot. If you can't do that, we can't have no more conversations.
right,
And
Right.
that's what got me
exactly.
through because I knew the basic stuff.
Okay, yeah. So all the new guys, don't look too Matt and Nick Jackson because all you'll know is a super kick, right?
Well, and the thing that, and I'm sure Gary will attest to this too, back in the day when you were getting started, um, the business was so protected. The brotherhood, as people don't, they used to say, they don't like to hear it now, but it was a thing where we're not going to let the new guys in because he's going to take our spot. If a new guy comes in, he outshines us, and we're out there helping him out. Back then, it was like the cream of the crop, and so you had to earn your place with the guys and the boys to be respected. Once you did that, and they knew you were there just to help build that product, then you became one of them. If they thought you were a hot shot, then you get shoot on.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen something like that in training and in show. So at least you know all I was gotta say is, if new to the business, you've got to keep your ears open, and you got to do less talking because you don't know it all, and
Well,
you're
that
not
whole
there.
thing goes back to the if you think you're the smartest man in the room, you're not in the right room.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah. You got to keep your head on a swivel. Back
exactly.
then, it was like that. But you had a guy like Gary that come in, and it was he was all ears. He was a sponge. He was soaking up all the knowledge he could get from all the guys, and he picked the right guys to get next to and to work with, and that's why he said he respected the business, and in return, the business respected him.
And a lot of shows I was doing, Cowboy Bob Orton. I met him in Detroit, knew about him, had a match with him, and they never looked back since working with Bob Orton because I knew the basics. That's what they asked me. Do you know the basics? You know, and then he trusted me. And each time after that we had a match, he trusted me with more, more, and more. If you can't build that trust factor, you know, uh, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. But again, I want to be, I didn't want to be the big fish in the little pond. I want to be the big fish with the other big fish in that pond.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, basics will get you further than you know. I mean, you've got to know your basic holds. You've got to know that you got to know chain. I mean, able to chain wrestle is a great skill to have. I mean, to keep on the ground, to keep maneuvers, applying holds, reversals, whatever the case may be. Chain wrestling will get you far, no matter what anybody else will tell you. Um, I mean, and of course, I'm sure Bob teaches that down at the Ace Wrestling Academy every Tuesday and Thursday night. So, you know, um,
This is a cool factor. You really did help train Randy?
Sure.
Yes.
That God dang, that just boosted
And,
Randy up more, in my opinion.
and I always tell the story. Bob trusted me with his son. He could have sent Randy anywhere he wanted to, but he said Randy's coming down to the gym, help him out. Now I know Randy told this story on on TV that it seemed like he started down there in Louisville. Nuh-uh. It started at the South Broadway Athletic Club.
Well, I can tell you when I got the call from Bob that said that the boy didn't think the old man could teach him anything anymore, and if we asked if we had anybody that could work with him, and I said sure, and I made the phone call to Tony Costa and said, hey, Bob's wanting to know if we can work Randy in with a couple of the guys to just work with him, and Gary was one of them guys. Ron Powers was another one. Yeah, and Randy will tell you that, like Gary said, there's documentation out there where he said that he started, but then if you go to his webpage, he used to even have it on there that he had his first independent match at South Broadway Athletic Club.
I actually do remember that being on Randy's page.
Yeah,
At one time, I 100% remember that.
yeah.
That's one of my favorites. So him and his dad are like, you and I've had this conversation many of times. I have a photo, and yes, I know I can give you the photo, and you would get it done for me, and I appreciate that. One day it will happen when due time comes. But having those two guys autograph on the same picture for me, so I could post right here on the wall, would be like.
I got a picture now that a good friends of ours gave me at FanFest 2 of Bob Orton Sr., Bob Orton Jr., and Randy Orton that they want me to get signed, and I just haven't had time to get over to Randy when he's in town because they've got Bob Orton Sr. and Jr. on it. They just need Randy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
yeah,
And
yeah.
not only that, man, I also trained at the power plant down in Atlanta with WCW.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how was that experience? What was that? Because I've heard some horror stories out of that one too from other wrestlers.
Well, my story is a little bit different. I was working the Summer Olympics down there with the military, and on my days off, I would go over to the training center and work out. But see, I wasn't treated as a new guy getting started. I had already done a TV. I knew Pez Watley. I knew Sergeant Parker, Buddy Lee, and stuff like that. So I was actually working out. And while I was down there, let me tell you who was going through the camp. The Big Show, Ernie the Cat,
Yes.
other guy, Glacier.
Glacier.
Yeah.
And some other guys. And, Chris Cannon would be down there. I'm sorry, Chris Canyon would be down there. Diamond Dallas Page would be down there. I mean, we just working out. Because I saw these guys on TV. I'm accepted into the group now because they saw me on TV. I'm down there working out with everybody else. Nobody's trying to stretch one another, and I'm learning as I go.
I think I just said that he was once T got in the door, he got respect. He gave respect and he got it, and I think that's what he's talking about right now.
100%.
Yeah.
Man.
So yeah, it's and I done rode down the highway with with a bunch of guys. Been in the locker room with with a lot of my heroes. You know, I mean, Harley Race, NW champion, had Kansas City Championship Wrestling. I teamed up with Dory Funk,
Oh
uh,
wow.
uh, brought Terry Funk from Cape Girardeau to the airport. Been on the card when Hogan's on top. Been around Nick Bockwinkel before he retired. He was AWA champion. Uh, of course, I've been around Ric Flair. Uh, all these guys, man, my heroes and future legends. Dusty
Fought
Rhodes.
Kamala.
Yes, all these guys, man, who I saw on TV. Now either I'm in the ring with them or I'm on the court with them. You know, Bill Watts. Uh, Jody Hamilton, one of the original assassins. Uh, it's like, man, all these guys I saw on TV, I'm actually in their presence. It's an honor for me to be in their presence. Let them, rip one another, having fun, playing cribbage. Herb, did you get that picture I sent you about the stuff
Yeah,
like that, man? Playing cards.
yeah.
Uh, listen to how they doing stuff, how they do business. You know, everything. From the good side of it to
And,
guys being mad at one another, and I've just been lucky to be around them and learn that stuff, man.
and he's named some of those guys, but he didn't go back quite far enough. The guys that he worked with, Tojo Yamamoto,
Oh
uh,
man, yeah.
Gypsy
Mike
Joe,
Huber,
Spike Huber, Frank Morrell,
the
the Angel,
yep,
uh,
the
the man,
original Steve Regal.
yeah, Mr.
Nobody
Electricity.
Yeah, the
nobody knows
electricity. Yeah.
who the original Steve Regal is.
Yeah,
You know,
Well, I
I
do,
just talked
but
to him about 3 months ago. He's not doing anything on the independent stuff, but those are all guys that we used to bring in, and Gary was a mainstay with all of them. So, like I said, Tojo and Gypsy Joe, Frank Morrell, Bill Ash's son, George Winecroft, uh,
hmm
Iceman King Parson.
hmm
So yeah, he's had a run at the gamut with all of them.
I mean, my brain's still stuck on Ernest the Cat Miller because I think he's one of the most underrated guys that ever
Yep.
came out of the power plant.
Yep.
So that's one of my personal
you
favorites.
know, and, and the story goes to him that that Eric Bischoff loved karate. Him and Eric Bischoff became friends. So he really had a real good ticket to get in. If the boss bring you in, guess what's going to happen?
I'm gonna get used.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's right. You know,
So Gary,
Yeah.
how was Rick Rude Rude to work with?
great. Uh, probably, probably the only hard match that I really had on TV probably was against Dino Bravo.
Yeah.
But
oh,
No
I
oh
figure.
learned
my,
later that these guys they work rough and tough, but I really never got hurt by none of these guys. You can look at all my matches. If you look at Nails was was Kevin Kelly in the Central States when I was there.
oh. Yeah, that guy
You
was
know,
rough.
yeah. So I mean, I knew him when we was in Central States. Magnificent Kevin Kelly.
Yep.
But working Rick Rude it's like any other match. Just listen, go out there and take care of business.
Well, I
You
think
know,
that's the one thing that
and they know about you.
Gary's been on the ride with us for many years, and that's when we had the Chris Adams, Scott Casey's, and people like that were coming up joining us. Gary was always the guy in the locker room, and that one of the main reasons is that uh, Brody liked him and he liked Tony Costa, and then of course he liked guys like the Giant Assassin, Nuko the Russian, people like that. He liked the big guys that have the big matches with.
Mhm.
But they always, when we were doing the bookings, he'd always say, "Hey, is the Night Train going to be on the card? Is Little Dynamite going to be on the card?" Because he had guys like Scott Casey and people like that he wanted to size them up right. And so it's been a great ride for Gary.
And another guy, man, who's really rough in the ring is Abdullah the Butcher.
Oh man.
I worked with him in Chicago. You think he took it easy on me? Nope. But then again, they just made that fire burn a lot more hotter for me. I mean, I'm in the ring with a guy a couple weeks ago. Him and Bruiser Brody tore the house down. Now I'm in the ring with him in Chicago. Just doing my thing, man.
Texas get a little bit sarcastic here. He said he wrestled Luthez in the 70s.
Actually,
Got the NWA championship.
Actually, he haven't got it right. I trained Luthez.
Well, what he didn't get right though is Gary was on the card where Luthez was a special guest referee at Belclair Fairgrounds.
That's right.
So
Wow.
yeah,
That's awesome.
Now, if these guys want to say how old they are, they go right ahead. But I'm still young and alive. So
well, yeah, Mike and Pat, the Kelly twins, and people like that.
Yes.
He was on the card when Hillbilly Jim, before he was Hillbilly Jim, was Harley Davidson worked his last independent card with SICW before he went to New York.
Oh man, yeah. So talking about all these guys we just mentioned the championship, I mean, on a joking manner, but for real though, Gary, because I'm sure you won your share of championships throughout your career. What ones stand out to you as like your like one of your most memorable championships that you've had, and why is it memorable to you?
The first one was when I was in Memphis, the USWA Junior Heavyweight title,
Ooh,
and
That's a good one.
that was great that they took the chance on me to put the strap on me. And then my second one was when I became the Central States champion, and that really, really meant a lot because I wrestled. That was my first territory, was the Central States. Being a champion, it was like it's happening all over again. So those two really stand out. That one, and then at one time I was a Missouri heavyweight champion, NWA Missouri heavyweight champion.
dang! So you had NWA championships underneath your list of accolades. Wow.
Right. And I'm sorry I don't keep the dates because at that time you figure, I remember this, and I always tell young people, young ladies, young men today or whatever, write down these events that's important to you. So whenever somebody asks you the questions, you have the dates. Back then I just didn't write no dates down. I just showed up, did my thing, left. I see you on the next show.
There you go.
Because
how I am now.
wearing that strap to me was just wearing the strap representing the company. I never got the big head, if you know what I'm saying.
Right, of course.
I'm representing the company. Hey, I just never wrote the dates down because it's just work. It's a work,
Yeah. There was actually a list of like a good friend of mine, Dave. He had a book at one time. There was like it was kind of like an encyclopedia of like the history of of like titles across the country and title changes, and even the Frank Reed's promotion when he was using CSWA was actually in there. And I think they did it like all the way through like 99, I think, because I think it came out like in 2000. And I happen to be in that book. But I don't know where to get it now.
That'd be an awesome book.
Yeah. In fact, so I'm sure you're probably in there.
Yeah.
If it's anything before the year 2000.
I never thought to collect any posters, pictures, and stuff there because you think you'll be around forever.
Yeah.
But when you look back over your shoulders, it's like, man, I've been in the business 5 years, 10 years, this and that. And let's not get this twisted. Everybody's a mark in this business for one another.
Yeah.
I cannot applaud enough on that one.
Everybody's a mark in this business for one another.
I cannot applaud enough to
When the
that.
next time they say, hey, I'm going to pull up a chair, man, I love the way those guys work. Come on.
Yeah, like I said, if you get a chance to take a picture with somebody, that you work with, like I'm sure that, I mean, that's what.
No, you're just weird if you do that. No offense.
I'm just weird if I. Okay.
No, my thought pattern, if you go to this, fans, wrestlers, all of it, because it's across the board. Like Gary said, we're marks for the business, period. All of us are, and nobody can say we're not. And if you say you're not, then you're probably one of those big marks that don't want to admit it. But if you go to a hotel or the airport when they're coming in for the shows, you are weird. I'm sorry to say that. You are weird. It is odd. It's disrespectful in my eyes. It should not be done. And there's just better times to get photos taken with the favorite wrestlers. Just like the Cauliflower Alley Club.
Yeah.
Just like Fan Fest 1, 2. Just like Waterloo, Iowa. There's so many places, so many things you can go to get these photos. Don't do it on their time when they're traveling. Don't do it when they're in a White Castle drive-through. That's just weird. That's just wrong, man. Why are you doing that to humans? That shouldn't be done.
You know why? You know why
you got people following you with Jimmy Hart the White Castle?
There's a reason my name is the Gym City Mouth. There's a love there.
You know why they do that?
Go ahead, Herb.
They don't want to pay to come and get it done.
Yeah, because they want to try to make the easy buck too.
Yes, exactly. And then and I know people who have done that. And I will say that a lot of the legends, as I call them nowadays, are smartening up to these guys who are coming and getting, I need 10 of these signed, because they're realizing they're just taking them and putting them out there on eBay and selling them. And so they're not giving them any more breaks anymore. They used to come and say, okay, give me X amount of dollars and I'll sign 10 or 20 of them. And now they're charging them per signature. And I can't blame them,
Good. Yeah, no.
At FanFest 2, when, we picked up just under 60 different legends from the airport, we didn't have that problem, because most of the people know that if I'm with them, don't stop them, don't bother them. That's what we're having a FanFest for. We have an expense that we have to cover. And if you want to get your autographs and if you want to get pictures, then that's what the event's for. And everybody's prices were very reasonable. I think you guys were there. I know there's other people that charge more, but they know what their cost is.
I got one, because there was only one that I was like really big waiting for this year, and that was Medusa. Paid $60 for a photo, the book, and an autograph. And then I got the autograph of the author too. And I wasn't even trying for that. Like, it just happened. Like, he was right there. We got to sit in. We had a conversation with him. No, there's just better ways. I mean, I didn't pay for Ted's, but it's my price position.
And that's what I mean. But I've seen it, be sitting in a restaurant with some of these guys, and some of the fans will show up and, hey, can I get your autograph? And the guys are getting up to it now. Just say, well, no, we'll have the show tomorrow. We'll be more glad to do it then. So it's and again, I'm like you. They ought to be respectful and come to the show and get it done.
Okay, before I go on to the question I have with Herb, Gary, Texas says you marked out big when Mickey James was around. Tell us about that little experience, sir.
Texan can't prove that. He has no pictures of that. I just introduced myself to Mickey James, and that was it. So regardless of what he posts, he cannot prove that.
By the way, she was just in town over the weekend in Illinois. So
okay,
I'm jealous.
Now, but really,
and where were you at, Gary?
No, we met Mickey James. I mean, first of all, I first met her husband Nick, he did a show for us, a great guy. And then I get a chance to meet his wife. She's such a lovely young lady, physically and mentally. Uh, and it just so happened that our chair was sitting right by the stage when we had the steak dinner night. Everybody's, suit tie, dressed to the gill, and I just happened to be right there to assist her on and off the stage. By saying that is, not only did we have Mickey James in our company, we had CM Punk right next to us.
Yeah.
He's a jerk, isn't he?
Does that get? Mickey James, and then we had CM Punk right next to us talking. This is when he was going through that little thing that he had last year.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
Yep. I don't know anything about that part, why he was in Vegas. Oh, man, it was great to have Mickey James in the front and then CM Punk right behind us. And then
awesome.
behind us was Bob Orton and his family. Across from us was a lot of other stars. Oh, yeah, we was having fun. Again, we all march for one another depending on what's going on.
100%. 100%. Now going back to what I was going to say, and my question to you, Herb. Gary's going down the Cauliflower Alley Club to get a reward, Indie Wrestler of the Year. Year, right? The Indie Super. Okay. Mm-hmm. He asked you to present that award to him. How does that feel for you to be the presenter of the award? And if there's actually an award out there, because this man's draped out with awards around the wrestling world. But if there's one that you think he deserves the most, or it hasn't been made yet, which one of those rewards would it be? Or is this the one? Because I kind of feel like this there's no better man for this award than Gary Jackson.
Well, I think you got to remember this is the first time this award is being given away.
Right.
They announced it last year that there would be this award, and I'll be honest with you, I wasn't going this year. And then when Gary, I was called by Brian Blair and told that Gary was going to receive the honors, and he got the phone call about it. And then when he asked me to be the presenter, that's all he had to ask, because I was honored myself to be asked by somebody who I just think the world of, who has done so much for me, for SICW, always been there, the general in the locker room. Everybody never says a bad word about Gary Jackson. If they do, they wouldn't have to just fight him. They'd have to fight me, because he is a gentleman. And, he's had 2 honors this year, the Sam Muchnick Award, which I know was dear to his heart because of his connection with the St. Louis office through Larry Matisek, just the same as I would. It's because there's the pictures in the background, Sam, Larry, and 3 people that I think he considers close to him also. But to be able to go out there, and I've already sent word to the Cauliflower Alley. They have a kind of a unwritten rule that, try to keep your speeches to, 3-4 minutes, because they have a lot on their agenda. But I'm not one to follow rules. Like I told them, I'll know when it's time when I look out in people's faces. Because how do I take somebody who I've known the biggest part of 30, 40 years here and try to sum it up in a 4 or 5 minute speech? Can't do it, won't do it. And unless they take a hook and pull me off the stage, and that'll take more than just one. But we're going to have a big crowd there. I think we're up to about 22 people. And plus I'll have some of the legends that you talked about sitting right there with us. And but no, it's really, truly an honor. I can't think of another award out there to say that he is actually representing, and I've said it before, I don't like the word independent. I've told the Cauliflower Alley people I don't believe it should be called that, because until somebody shows me a license in one of these states that says your license is an independent wrestler, if you are a wrestler, you are a professional wrestler. don't care where you're at, don't care if you're on the main stage, if you're on the stages that we're on. You look out there, these guys that are out there working for a smaller promotions are taking just as many, if not more, bumps than anybody on the main stage. Gary has took his bumps and bruises and bled this business through and through. And so I can't think of another award that would be more fitting to him to be honored as a wrestler of the year.
I 100% agree with you. If there's any man that deserves it, especially in being the first, it's 100% Gary.
Thank you guys so much.
Especially for the first award. This was two of the first new awards that are given this year, the Wrestler of the Year and then the Promoter of the Year award. And so Gary definitely is this will be something that will be in stone. Then nobody can take that away from him. He'll be the first one to ever receive that award.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. And of course, also real quick is the Jim Ross Award is going to be that's another inaugural award, I believe.
Yeah, they've been talking about that for a few years, and they finally got enough pressure to do that also. So because it needs to be, they need to have one of them.
So, no Gordon Sody Award?
Don't go there, Gary.
Yeah,
that's a story for another day.
Oh my, yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, at least it is up in Waterloo. It is, but
yeah. Waterloo's another thing. I mean, it's you got two great organizations. I know it's out there now, so I can speak it. But Troy Peterson, my good friend from Impact Wrestling, stepped down from his roles up there of the Tregastes show, and so that's been a issue that I'm working with. But we'll take one show at a time. That's a whole year away, even though they always start a year early and promoting theirs. Their tickets go on sale for next year's reunion up there in August 15th. Their tickets go on sale, and so. But the Cauliflower Alley, as I said in the back room, you guys know, and Rick, I know you're going to be out there this year. Like I said, I've got tables for all of us, so we're hopefully going to be all sitting in the same area. So when Gary gets up on that stage, SICW in the Midwest will be well represented, cheering on a man who has done a lot for all these organizations.
Yeah, and that's going to be awesome. That at least I won't feel like a stranger there, but kind of wanting to know where I'm at. So,
yeah. Well, and I told you earlier, we actually, and Gary knows, and I mentioned to you guys, but we'll let your followers. We've got and we're really happy about this. A couple coming out first time going to Vegas. We had a raffle one night at a show, and Don Castaldi and his wife won that. Relation to Little Dynamite, Tony Costa. His nephew is going out there for the first time. They got their flights paid for, their hotel. They got a year membership to the Cauliflower Alley, and they'll be at the banquets with us, and they're going to be sitting at the table with us, and they're really looking forward to that also.
Oh yeah.
Hey Rick.
Yeah.
I know you was talking about going out there not being by yourself and this and that. But let me tell you, first time I went, I felt that way. After the first day of being there and meeting the boys, it felt like I should have been there all the time. And I was told prior to that by Darla Staggs, by Kathy Jackson, some of the local people who follow us real well, and they wasn't wrong. When I went there after the first day, I should have been there a long time ago because I started meeting guys who I ran across, promoters. I mean, the second day it felt like I was at home. And I ain't never looked back since by going to the CAC club. And the reason why I go, I know they advertise who's going to be there, but I like to see who shows up and who's not advertised.
Oh yeah. That's also a big intrigue for me because people can just come in unannounced. That probably have been there before. I mean, I guess Herb would tell me, or you could tell me, has there been anybody that's never been there before that didn't buy it or wasn't advertised to be on the show? Like, did they like come there for like the first time, even though they weren't coming to like receive an award or anything? They just like
Oh
showed
yeah,
up.
yeah. There's all the time. There's people that
Oh
you know,
my,
one of the somebody close like this year, somebody close to Sting or Kurt Angle, they may just come to support them unannounced.
Yeah.
So
wow,
yeah, you
I
never know who
mean,
you're going to be sitting next to, or you're going to pass through the casino and be in the hotel with them, and so yeah,
you know,
it happens all the time.
JBL, Rey
oh yeah,
Mysterio. One night, man, JBL, they was having fun. JBL pulled out his wallet and said, "Hey, I'm paying Rey Mysterio's lifetime membership."
Yeah,
dang,
I think they sold like 10 lifetime memberships that night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rob Van Dam, he was there, he was in the back,
yeah,
you know.
RVD, yeah, Rey Mysterio, yeah.
oh man. So Ray's got a lifetime. Oh boy, that's interesting. That's it.
Booyaka, booyaka.
I mean,
Yeah,
Jeff Jarrett was there. His dad's supposed to have been there, but his dad overslept.
Yeah,
The whole Memphis crew was sitting in front of us.
Rock and Roll Express, Tommy
I mean,
Wildfire Rich.
Tommy Rich, everybody.
oh,
Oh my god.
oh my gosh, man. No
And
wonder.
then you had the two or three tables of SICW sitting there. And what makes you feel good is when those guys are getting up, coming over, talking to the Gary Jacksons and the Big Texans and the Bobby D's, and it's a good networking few days out there.
Yeah,
Because you may feel like you're a stranger when you get out there, but I'm guarantee you, people coming up talking about how hey, we follow SICW on the internet. We watch the show, and it really makes you feel like you're a part of the big family.
you know. And I'm not saying this because Herb's sitting in front of me, but the first time Herb went, I was introducing him to people. Now, Herb was already bringing the stars in, but after that, a lot of guys got to see Herb and know who he was. And they said they heard about him, they just never saw him because of guys prior to that. And
Yeah,
that's another reason why we're so successful, because Herb Simmons do good business. You know,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, uh, like I said, I'm definitely excited. I mean, I've got a lot of emotions going through right now. As far as I just need to get down there. Once I get through the flight to getting down there and get checked into the hotel at like maybe possibly like 1:30, 1:45 in the morning on Monday. It's- then
now,
then I guess everything will start.
You
Herb
just need to
have
stop worrying about everything else and just be grateful for the
Yeah.
experience and be open to what you're about to receive, my dude. Because
yeah, Herb, have we found a new office in the plaza yet? We used to have an office in the Gold Coast at TGI
Ah,
Fridays, but
They had a table reserved for us, didn't they?
yeah, buddy, that was our office from the time we got there. That was our office.
That's where we all met at. I mean, it was and it wasn't. It was the way the TGI Friday was an open area, and right at the corner they'd have a reserved table for SICW there. And it came down as you came down the escalators, you walked right by there to get over to the
You saw
hotel.
everybody who was coming and going.
Everybody. I mean, I'd be sitting there with Baron von Raschke eating lunch one day, or a bunch of them that would stop there, and that's where we go out after the banquet, and but at the plaza they haven't got that place yet. They're going to have the pool party again this year, and then they're going to do the karaoke again, I hear, and a few of the seminars, but we'll see.
hey, yeah, and you've never been to one of the karaoke nights yet.
Yeah, we go to the
Oh,
karaoke.
you do.
Oh yeah, we was there last year. They did it during the afternoon.
Yep,
Oh, but
karaoke.
this is going to be nighttime though. This is Monday night. That's
Yeah,
happening.
oh yeah. Well, and I was going to go out Sunday because they asked me to come out for the wrestling show. They wanted to see if I'd get some of the boys to participate in it, and I talked about it with a few of Texan and Gary and Dennis and people like that. And then when I found out more what it was going to be about,
Yeah.
they're going to have the babies and the heels be chosen who goes against one another by the fans. And so I want to. I said no. I think I'll pass this year. So I just changed my itinerary, and I'm going out Monday. So
And
Yeah.
I passed on that idea too.
yeah.
It wasn't a good fit for me.
Well, because I got 2 shows on Saturday, and then if I left on that Sunday, I'd have been rushing it again, and then so it gives me an extra day to prepare for it and get out there Monday. And of course, Darla and Barbara and Pam and all of them will be checking on us to see where we are. The one year we went, I can't remember if it was last year, Gary, or the year before I went. We took us 12 hours to get from St. Louis to Las Vegas because we
A couple years ago, we was
three
at the
different
go.
airports because of the storms, and they were all worried where we were at. And I said, "Yeah, I could almost rented a car and got there sooner."
I don't know. Las Vegas is a long haul to drive. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
took me-
not only that, Herb was trying to get there. Dennis and Keith Smith, they was trying to get there
Yeah.
because of the storm.
But when we got there, they were all sitting at the SICW table waiting for us, and
Yeah.
had me a margarita waiting. And I don't know how long it'd been sitting there, but it had been sitting there waiting.
man.
In Texas, one of these days I will get there. Unfortunately, right now it's not in the cars. I'm putting my wife through college, man. So
Yeah.
my wife went back to be a nurse, and that's been where all of our funds have been going right now.
Yeah,
That's a
family
good
first.
investment.
Oh, 100%. That's an investment in the future.
Yeah.
I get to be a stay-at-home dad and stuff right now, so no, I'm perfectly fine with what I'm doing because I'm doing exactly what I want to do with my life. So
That's great.
grateful for it.
That's
Yeah.
great. And like I said, then I'm sure you'll see Rick will take plenty of photos, and he'll have plenty of stories to come back, and he'll have a couple of weeks of shows for you to talk about. And he's going
He'll get a Mick Foley shin kick if he doesn't. I'll give him a sweet shin music if he doesn't send me photos throughout the whole event. Like if I'm not getting up to date like girlfriend photos during this time, I'm going to be peeved off.
Rick, just remember one thing: what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That's fine. You can keep all the fun stuff. That's fine.
I mean that is if it's not photographed or videographed.
No, I don't.
Well, and as I told you, the Plaza Hotel. Did you get reservations there, or where are you staying?
I did in my range. I can only get. I got down to the Hotel Apache, which is about 0.2 of a mile away from the plaza.
Yeah, you'll be right there. Yeah, so yeah.
It's in within walking distance.
Yes, within walking distance, and I've actually checked out the place, and it actually is pretty entertaining from what I'm hearing, and I'm just hoping I'm hoping the beds are going to be comfortable. I just after my last experience in Paragould,
Arkansas bed sucked.
yeah, the wooden pallets covered by like comforters. It was horrible. I was like stiff for days, man. That was horrible. But no, I'm excited. I mean, I'm gonna take a walk along the. I'm excited to walk around there. And actually, I just got you mentioned Pam. I actually just got my packet today, and I haven't even opened the email yet. So I'm kind of interested to see how that's going to look. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk a little bit more here, a little bit more about the other happenings in Vegas here in just a moment. But I think we got a couple more questions here, at least for Gary. I got one, and then Z's got one, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I'm biting at the bit.
Yeah. So throughout your career, Gary, is which friend or family member, or it could even be multiple, has been your biggest supporter and giving you the greatest influence to keep going at professional wrestling, to keep chugging along as the night train?
Well, my mother really loved what I was doing. She just didn't like to come to the matches to see people. We go there with our families. My mother and my wife. And then parts in between. Kids, cousins. That type of thing. But my two biggest supporters was my late mother and my wife.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
that's awesome.
and everybody else in between.
Yeah, my mother knew it was important to me, but she didn't want to go. My dad didn't want to. They only went to like one, like maybe two shows, but they didn't like seeing me fall. I'm like,
Yeah,
if you only knew what I did when you guys were at work, and I came home after school when I laid out
yeah,
like a 2-inch polyurethane foam uh sponge on the freaking ground, and I was taking bumps.
yeah.
That
And
was harder.
my mother was a wrestling fan until I got into the ring. Like, I can't watch while you're in the ring. I think they're gonna hurt you.
That's her baby, man. You can't
Yeah,
hurt her
yeah.
baby.
She came to a couple of shows, her and my sister, and they never came back no more. Yeah,
That's
Oh,
but they
awesome.
can
man.
watch other people on TV.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I get. Yeah. Like, so I guess I can understand that, but it's good when you kind of need a support system, though. I mean, if you got people that you need people that are going to be behind you, and it's good that the people that are in your life at least won't dog you or kind of try to pull you away, because I've had that happen a couple times, but they kind of got used to the fact that I was not going to pull away from professional wrestling. So, yeah,
Yep.
it is what it is, and just grateful for it. So,
You probably need to ask the same question to Herb Simmons. Not only he's been a promoter, he's with his regular job, his whole career for us, uh, having ambulance service, uh, being a business owner. He's in charge of the county. You need to ask him that question because that guy stay busy to me.
oh, constantly, Herb. Yeah. When does Herb take a day off? I mean, I guess going down he'll have maybe a couple days off in a week.
He'll be working down there too. Don't even try to play that. You know Herb.
Yeah,
Herb can't stop working. Who does support you? How do you have support without you do stuff? You just keep going, my guy.
Yeah, it's but at 71 years old, the and I don't want to say the fear of slowing down, because you're not supposed to be feared of anything, but I enjoy working. I enjoy doing what I'm doing. Last night at the show, when you have the fans come up and tell you, "Oh, what a great show," the kids come up and wanting to take pictures of certain wrestlers, or as you guys were talking about earlier, we're all marks. We all mark out for the business, and if not, and I think you said it best, Zmiz. If somebody out there says they're not, they're full of it. I heard Jerry Briscoe up in Iowa one year. I was up there helping him do one of the seminars, and we were watching the new guys, and then we took them in a room afterwards and kind of critiqued what they were doing. And Jerry told him, he said, "Look, I mark out 17 hours a week on television on wrestling." He said, "Because it's on so much." He said, "So I watch all of it," and he's right. And I don't do that, but again, I stay busy, but my passion, my drive is the professional wrestling. I've been a Mark fan, whatever you want to call it, uh, back in the days, in the early '60s, and back Pepper Gomez's, and Lutez's, and Johnny Valentine's, and Gene Kaniski's, when they were all in their heydays. And my mom was the she loved the good guys, and of course I loved the bad guys, Fritz von Erich and people like that. But and so that's why I do it. And I've come along and I met so many great guys, like the Gary Jacksons of the world, superstar Steve Fender, and then of course the legends that I've had the fortune. I say I'm probably the luckiest promoter out there today, that I've got to work with all the guys that I grew up with watching. When I used to sit in the office with Larry with Sam, and hear him talk on the phone to Paul Bosch in Houston, and when they were talking about the title, how it was going to be done, and who was going to get it, which territory. Or he'd be sitting there in the office. You walk in one morning, and there's Big Thunder Gene Kaniski sitting there, and we were always told, what you hear in his office stays in his office. Open up the files, and what the ironic part is all those files I have now. Things that I got to sit there years ago and look through, now I can take time and read through them, and comprehend it a little bit better. So, but my support is my wife, my family, and good friends.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's always good to have a good crew, you know.
Well, you're only as good as you surround yourself with, and
Right, exactly.
and I think that you all find that out. I've accomplished a lot in the business. The only thing I haven't been able to conquer yet is learning how to get people to work together. And I'm just about ready to throw the towel in on that because
We can't give up yet on that one. We can't give up yet on that one.
I mean, Sean Vince and I talked about that last night. Gary and I had that conversation. Texan and I have it. Dennis and I have it. It's just, I don't know if it's in the cards. I don't know what it is. I mean, I think that people are just afraid that they're going to lose out on what little they have. Only if they would stop and think that little could turn into more. I mean, just like last night, there was at least, if I count it right, at least 5 or 6 matches going on within probably a 10-mile radius.
Correct.
And, when you start dividing up fans, somebody loses out. If there was a way to get together and everybody say, hey, these are the dates I need, then maybe somebody would say, well, if they could, then I'm not going to book on that day. Don't give the fans the have to make the choice, But yeah, that's the one thing I haven't been able to conquer yet to get them to look at that way. So
one day on that note, one day.
Oh yeah, that's a story for another day.
So we've talked about me and Marks on the show today, and, and we're gonna ask that question. And Gary, this is really for you because I kind of think I know Herb's for the most part. What is your Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling? So yeah, you're unfortunately gonna have to pick 4, but who is your 4 guys or gals that kept you a fan or kept you motivated in the business to either push forward or just be that fan?
Okay. Harley Race.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Hacksaw Butch Reed.
Good one.
Cowboy Bob Orton. And the 4th one's going to be Rocky Johnson.
Wow.
Stunning list, actually. That's a stunning list.
That's good.
Give us some background on why those 4 men.
Harley Race, I grew up watching them on TV. And then I had the pleasure of working in his territory. Hacksaw Butch Reed. I like the way I like this look, the way he worked. Got to meet him. Just overall, just a good person. Cowboy Bob Orton asked me to help his son out. Rocky Johnson got met him in the territory, working with him. Definitely like his work, his footwork, all what he did. I mean, that's just a short list. I mean, there's other guys who I can really talk about before it's right off the top of my head. I will go with those guys.
I mean, I think that's a stunning list, period. Rocky Johnson, he doesn't get always the credit that he deserves. That man's footwork in the ring is something to behold.
And for his size, his drop kicks.
Oh, yeah.
What he did,
Absolutely.
That intensity that Hacksaw Butch Reed had, plus that power, Bob Orton, man, that guy just got all the skills, all the moves, pound for pound, he can go with you. And then just overall, just Harley Race, just the knowledge, the experience, and just being a tough guy who just, he's just a humble guy, but he's a guy that has great ideas. Invited me down to his school when he was sending guys over to Japan for Noah. book me when he could on his cards. I never forgot that.
It's,
You
that's
know,
a
Yeah. No, I mean, I like the twist of because we hear a lot of repetitive names when people uh do their Mount Rushmore when they go back, and of course I like seeing Bob up there. Harley, of course, always going to have respect for Harley Race. One of the greatest to ever do it here in the business. And then Butch Reed. I mean, that's a really good name. I believe out of Missouri too, right?
yep,
Um, yeah,
Warrensburg.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, Warrensburg, yes. And then, yeah, then of course Rocky Johnson, right? Because I remember when I started watching wrestling, in '84, and I was watching WWF. I did see Rocky Johnson, featured in the Victory magazine, and then also the footage of him doing his drop kick. I mean, he had probably one of the best drop kicks around at that time. Um, when everybody's trying to do the drop kick, I mean, Rocky just knew how to get up there, execute the move, get back down, and pop right back up, and he just he would just go.
You
And
know, you know, he was a stable at wrestling at the Chase. See,
yeah,
when I came up, guys, they was working everywhere in all the territories. I always tell people now, these groups that you see on TV now, they just company wrestlers. They are not wrestling outside their companies. These guys did it all from Florida to Portland to California to New Jersey to Japan. A lot of these groups these days, they stay within their company. They do not go outside their company. Back then, the Tennessee territory, the Georgia territory, the Carolinas, the Amarillo territories. So these guys was getting experience all over the world. Now these companies today, they just stay right inside their own bounds.
it's funny with you saying that. Actually, this last at SummerSlam, the press conference, Triple H was asked about their partnership with TNA and how that's helping NXT and how far do they see that going. And now we're seeing Judgment Day just got announced for an Ireland show. So JD McDonough and Finn are going over there. But one of the things Triple H said in that press conference is that the guys within the company of NXT, they have not done the reps. So them partnering with other companies and doing the stuff with TNA, allowing their guys and gals go down there to TNA and get some more reps in because they can only do so much in NXT with them.
Well, everybody's going to get exposed.
Oh yeah, all that's doing is just open
see how
doors.
good they really are.
It's just a crazy way. Like the things that I've sat and listened to Herb say, and then the things that I'm listening to you say today. It's funny how that's kind of being repainted in today's wrestling, and now you're seeing Triple H. And yeah, we saw with AEW where they kind of worked with other promotions, but like Triple H is really doing it. I kind of feel like he wants to bring back what stuff like Herb talks about, the territory days, and bring back the guys working different areas, working different people, and then continue to work up and stuff. So it's just a really cool experience to see it kind of. We watched it go one way with Vince, and now we're watching it go the other way with Triple H and all these promotions coming back. OVW's coming back strong. TNA's coming back strong. Scott D'Amore is about to open another promotion again, or reopen a promotion that he worked with before. So we're seeing all these kind of like promotions restart or get these reboots. Could we see a territory regrowth?
Anything's possible, but you got to respect the other people's talent. That's
Okay.
what a lot of people they don't do, man. And that is why we always talk about this 50-mile thing for a reason. Other people don't respect your talent. If you're on top in Herb's promotion, when you come see me, you're gonna be on top. I respect. That is why I want to do business. Guys want to bring somebody in that's on top with another promotion, and then they want to put them on the bottom. It don't work that way, fellas. That is why that 50-mile rule is important.
It's 25. Don't get me in trouble.
Well, 50-25. The whole thing is start respecting other people's talent, and we can work
Wasn't me
together.
anyway.
It's like, it wasn't me anyway.
Wasn't me anyway, Gary.
The funny part is I've heard that from multiple of the guys now in SICW. It was never your idea in the first place. It was the boys' idea.
we went out for a Sunday evening get together, and that's when it was all made up right then. And I just supported. There was one individual that wanted to do 50 miles, and I'm the one that said, no, come on, this is 2021, 2022, whenever that was. And but again, but I think what this whole conversation is right here, it's bingo. I mean, it's what we have talked about before, you and me, Zmiz, a lot. The question on territory, sure, it can be done, but it takes, as I've always said, that 3-letter word ego has to be put outside the door. It's just like here locally in the Midwest. There's not a promoter out there, and I'll sit around the table, I'll go to them, I'll sit down, and I want them to tell me, I want them to tell me how much money they are making in the business. And they're going to say, oh, well, I won't show you, but I'm going to tell you. Or they're going to tell you, well, we're not doing anything. Okay, well, the reason why we aren't all making money is because we aren't all working together. Why do you think it was so successful back in the territory days? Because there was no grabbing and snatching of talent. There was no grabbing and snatching of territory. You had promoters that could work together in a cohesive way and say, okay, I'm going to send you so-and-so for the next 6 months. And again, granted, that's when guys were doing it for a living. Nowadays, you've got very few guys that are out there doing it. Guys are doing it on the weekends. But again, that could still work. Instead of a guy making a hot dog and a handshake, as you hear them all talk about at some promotion, they may be able to get mustard or ketchup on it. But again, they just have to want to put all their personal differences aside and say, hey, let's work together and see if it works. I mean, I've talked about it with a few of the promotions, not only here locally, but, Jason Jones down at Mid-States, him and we exchange talent back and forth. The other thing it helps the fans. It brings in new faces, new heels, new babies for them, instead of the same old A against B all the time. So, it's a great conversation. And Gary, I think you hit the nail on the head there with it. But what Triple H is doing now, he's just reinventing what it used to be. And
100%.
A guy like that, that's got the backing, he just went to Herb Simmons' class of 101 is what he did. It's like I talk about the tapes. They got that big library. If I had the library they had, each week I'd be showing one of those classics embodied of their weekly shows. And then you're going to catch the demographics of the people who remember those 70s and 80s and early 90s. They got them in a vault somewhere and just letting them draw dust. At least the Wrestling at the Chase and the Dick the Bruiser's library that we have, we throw one in there on the weekend, let people see it.
And see, that's something my son and I look forward to, because you're the reason that I got to understand Stan Hansen. And I've said it right here on the show. I've said it to you, to your face. JBL, once I started to see the similarities and see how much I loved JBL and growing up, and also JBL is my Stan Hansen. I truly believe that. And I can say that with utmost respect to both gentlemen, actually, that JBL is my Stan Hansen, because I saw the similarities. I saw the nods to the generation before JBL and all that kind of stuff. And it was you that kind of pushed me down that road and getting to see, SICW Explosion, all that stuff, and watching those one matches here and there. And then going down and digging actually too, and finding some of those matches. But I agree. I think some of those matches should be shown again, and there should be a way to do that within the bigger companies. And maybe, hopefully, knock on wood, Triple H is listening to us, and and maybe he's like, that's a good idea. Because I truly believe, I said on We Talk Wrestling during that press conference, if you're not watching those press conferences as a fan, or even a superstar or a guy wanting to be more in the business and listening to what Triple H is saying, you're missing out on a lesson that could be learned, and a sponge that you could be just in those moments.
Well, and again, we talk about these promotions, look where NWA's having their, what is it? NWA 70, what is it?
6.
5, 6?
Yep.
They're not having that in St. Louis this year, are they?
Nope.
No, it's in Philly. So, and
Yeah.
that's what was one of my arguments with when I was talking with Mr. Corrigan early on over the tapes. If St. Louis meant so much to you, why aren't you doing something here every year? You know, and he got to know that this is where the nuts and the bolts of that NWA started, and I think what shut our deal off is when I told him that, he knows as much about the NWA wrestling as I know about music, and and that's the truth. That's a true statement. He has no. He may have looked up what NWA stood for, but I think to him that was just 3 letters of the alphabet. I mean, the history of NWA was right here under that guy right there on the wall behind me.
You know, a lot of these guys, they come in with money. They see wrestling on TV. Somebody gets in their ear and they really think they know wrestling, but they really don't.
Well, I mean, Major Baston, he came in, a nice guy, met with Larry and I. He wanted us to work with him. He wanted to buy me out. I was one of the first people he approached.
Yeah.
And then he talked with Metro Pro. He made a deal with them, and that was a good deal for them. I was happy as heck. But, after 3 meetings with him, we knew that other people was in his ears, and it wasn't going to last. He lasted about 16, 18 months. And, it's been a year or so now since I've had any conversation with him. But when he first got out of it, he told me, he said, man, I wish I'd listened to you and Larry and not the people who were in the other ear, because he spent a lot of money that he didn't have to. And he told us at the beginning, he said, I got $1 million to invest. And Larry told him, said, give us that and we'll invest it for you and get you some return on your investment. And, you can only offer. If they go the other way, that's up to them. But I've seen guys like that come and go. I can't tell you, it'd be in my book, the guys that have called me and said, hey, we're going to open up a business and we're going to become a millionaire. Well, it doesn't happen in wrestling.
And I have worked with guys with money. The big mistake that they make is that they trying to be as big as the World Wrestling Federation.
Can't happen.
I'm going to run them out of business.
It won't happen.
And it's never, ever going to happen, because when I said earlier, Vince grew up in the business. Everything from putting the ring up to being an announcer. So his inner circle was guys who wrestled for his dad.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's like us, and we're not trying to compete with the AEW or any of them. We're doing our own thing, and sure, we bring in some of the legends, but as I've told you guys before, I do that for the fans. I do that for the guys in the locker room. They come in, they critique them, they have conversation with them, they get to learn, pick their brains. It adds credibility to the product that we're putting out there, I believe. And if I'm wrong, somebody can try to tell me that, but I don't think that's the case. I think the fan loves it when they see a Ricky Steamboat or they see a Tito Santana or a Haku. But like I said, but could you imagine if all the local promotions got together and said, hey, let's do something like that on a regular basis? The fans are the ones that benefit from that.
Yeah.
When the fans benefit from it, the promotions benefit from it. So
and Herb, and I always tell people this: when Herb bring those guys in, they back there watching the monitor. Now I'm in the back. Herb does not give these guys one extra dime to put us over. These legends are talking from experience. 9 out of 10 times, these guys are saying, "You guys are doing it right." They back there critiquing us, the for real deal. So when them guys come back through that curtain, they say, hey, you could have done this, you could have done that. Herb don't know this. But I'm telling Herb, I said, Herb, this is what he said. This is what they said. And Herb's not giving them one extra dime to critique us at all.
Well, I think you and Rick, I mean, how many times are I in the locker room last night? I come back in there one time to talk to you, Gary. The rest of the time I have a booker. That's what the booker does.
Yep.
Booker takes care of the locker room and takes care of everything. And and that's just the way it's got to be. If I have to be in there as the promoter, then I might as well do the job. I don't need a booker, and
You know,
it worked
right?
good.
Right.
Mm.
We had Dutch Mantel in. Dutch Mantel sent right. He sit right in front of that monitor and watched all the matches and critiqued all the guys who came through.
Yeah, it was the same way when we had Jim Cornette in. I mean, he sit there and after the show was over that night, he had two comments. One, your guy, there's a few of them that I can tell are rookies. He said the rest of them, he said, know their basics. They know the fundamentals of it. He said the only thing that I got to tell you, he said, I'm so thankful that your manager wasn't out on the road at the same time I was, or I'd have to step my game up. And he was talking about Travis Cook,
Yep.
and that kind of turned me off right there.
Yep.
No,
I mean,
no, all kidding.
Jerry,
It's a compliment to
Jerry,
Travis.
Jerry Briscoe ran back there. Oh man, this guy. When he tells you something, you better listen to Jerry Briscoe.
Hey, Gary, I got to say, there's one comment on here. Shaft says something about your acorn. Let me see where it's at.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Oh, bald-headed acorn.
Yeah, he said.
Okay.
He said Gary Jackson, a ball-headed acorn.
Well, you know something. we all take from one another. It's nothing new that I do.
No.
We just all take from one another. We just redo it a different way.
Yeah.
But back in the day, everybody knew Muhammad Ali, right?
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
And he fought Ernie Shavers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Guess what Ernie Shavers' nickname was? A bald-headed acorn.
Yeah. Hey, if you guys don't, and Jim,
That's what I call Shaft.
Jim just brought it up.
Yeah.
We just lost late Kevin Sullivan, and what a brilliant individual in our business he was. I mean, I had the pleasure and opportunity to know Kevin a long time. Had countless hours of talking with him on the phone. He was another one that came in and done the seminars, and he was the one that the one seminar we did. P.T. Beckham. He'd come to the tryout that day, and him and Cahagas really took a liking to PT, and they got in there, and PT worked with him, and Kevin was at ringside watching him and giving him some pointers. And so the seminar got over with, and they left. Everybody left. And we had somebody, I don't remember who it was, that called and couldn't make it to the show that night, and so we needed a fresh body. And so we called PT and said, hey, do you want to be on the show tonight? And it was actually Kevin that recommended PT for that. And,
that's awesome.
I've heard PT give him credit for that, So
that's killer.
So, yeah, it goes to show you that, when we had these guys in early, like we had Dan Severn in do a seminar, people like that, Tommy Wildfire, Rich.
Yep.
It's good for these guys to get in there and work with those different legends, because they've all got different things that they can give pointers to, but the one thing they're all consistent on is the basics. And as Gary said, the basics, you got your foot in the door most of the time. So
yeah,
that's
two things about Kevin Sullivan is I worked against him. And Herb, as I was going to the show last night, I passed by the Super 8 in Columbia.
Mm.
That's the last time I saw Kevin Sullivan, because I took him back to the hotel and we talked all night, and I took him back to the airport the next day.
Yep.
And so that's when I went past the Super 8, I'm like, that was the last time I saw Kevin Sullivan.
Yep. So we lost a good one there. So we're losing them too quickly, and I just condolences to his family, and he touched a lot of guys in this business. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, Kevin. I mean, I remember Kevin. Through, I guess, coming up through WCW or at least NWA. I mean, he's had a lot of great roles, or I guess, or we would say gimmicks or personas here. I love the Games Master and Taskmaster. Was obviously I think that's where he's done his best work. Bringing up the Varsity Club, bringing up Dungeon of Doom. There's some great work, some great talent. No, but no, I love Kevin Sullivan and the way you talk about a guy who really mess with your can really see and really get to your emotions or your mind through his promos. That's a guy that could do that. And he was definitely one of the best at doing that. Um, you know, I mean, a lot of great guys like that. Of course, Jake Roberts did that too. So but no, Kevin Sullivan was really outstanding. And and then lucky, that like I said, Gary was mentioning, but the last time, he was staying in Columbia because he did some work, with the Purple Haze.
Yeah.
Um, when that feud with Flash Flanagan. So
Tried to set Flash on fire.
yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, and then I think Jim Texan will tell you we actually after the show at night went out and was getting something to eat, and Kev could not stop bragging about of the talent in the locker room. I mean, he was actually. In fact, before his accident, him and I had been talking. He was going to come in and spend a few weeks in town, and we were going to just get some things planned out because he had such a mind for the business, and he
Yes.
knew that
Yeah.
we would do it the right way. And yeah, he bragged that night up there. In fact, Jim and I get to talk about it all the time. And Jim was kind of like a kid at a candy shop, like all of us were, and sitting there just bragging about everybody.
Yep. And Herb, and the rest of the guys, you know where all that information came from, right?
No.
Eddie Graham out of Championship Wrestling out of Florida.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Eddie.
yeah, Eddie, of course.
Eddie,
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
people forget about that part. Early in his career, he was up there with Vince Sr. Then he went down to Florida where Eddie Graham, they believed in him
Yep.
and gave him his push.
Yep. Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like I said,
I just
Well,
remember the chess master and the
the
taskmaster.
Taskmaster.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All that stuff started in Florida. He just brought it with him up to WCW.
Oh yeah.
Yep. It's like you say, you got to start somewhere. Start somewhere small. Because you just can't get there. You can't get to the big time just walking in the front door.
Hold up. I'm gonna cut you off.
Oh.
Back then, those was territories I'm talking about.
Yes.
You mean
See,
they had
WCW
territories?
became a big territory after the Florida was gone, the Georgia Championship Wrestling was gone, all that stuff. But when you work in those territories, I mean, they just sold out the Tampa Arena. I mean, it's on records. Kill Auditorium, the arena. We still
Oh,
in the
man.
late 60s, early 70s, early 80s, still in territories. And that's why a lot of people forget that those territories existed like that, and it was very successful.
Well, and you talk about guys who they come to these training schools and they want to get trained, and Gary, the one I'm thinking about right now is Brandon Beretta,
Mhm.
one half of the Top Guns. I mean, there's a young man that came in that you knew from the first couple of weeks that he was there that his heart was in it, his the passion, the drive, and look at him now. I mean, he's down in Memphis. He's up with EC3. He's back here with us. He's down in Kentucky. He's been to Arkansas. There's a guy that said, hey, he quit his job and he's out. You're talking about a guy chasing his dream, and he's going to catch it. I mean, he hits the gym when he's not working, and if you look at him from the first day he came to the academy to what he is now, it's a different person, and that's a success story right there in this business.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Brandon is putting in the work, and I can tell he's putting in the work. And you gotta admire a guy like that wanting to make that dedication. So,
Well, and
Uh,
nothing, and I won't mention that we gave him a big push with Cowboy Bob Orton.
Yep.
yeah,
that kind of got his foot in the door, and he got to wear a cast with Bob Orton.
Oh
So
yeah. And when you see that window opportunity, just be ready to go.
and he did.
And
You know,
and I always tell guys, put yourself in the best position to make it. You know, give yourself every opportunity to make it. You know.
yeah.
absolutely. Man, so let's kind of a recap here as far as what's coming up here next week. With the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion, the 58th one that's going to be down in Las Vegas, August 19th through the 21st. Big moment for you, Gary. As far as like, I mean, is there anything that we haven't touched on here as far as what you're looking forward to in Vegas? Your emotions leading up to you getting this award, and how you're processing all of this at this point.
Well, to be honest with you, man, each year I get the same feeling of just being ready. I'm ready to go to Vegas. I'm ready to go have fun.
There you go.
Only thing changing this year is they giving me an award around my friends. But if I wasn't getting that award, man, that adrenaline still gonna be flowing. I'm still gonna happy to be there. I just enjoy being there with my brothers and sisters, man, and having a good time for 3 or 4 days.
Uh, well, that's great. I mean, we're all there to have fun, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. And good Lord, Texan.
Texans all jokes tonight.
He got game tonight.
Yeah,
He's saying who pick out the size of that leaf.
yeah.
So
Hey, and one more thing, Rick. But I got to give you credit where credit's due, man. I enjoy being in the locker room with you. I enjoy being in the ring with you.
yeah, I mean, it's an honor. I mean, it really is. I mean, because we're in this business to definitely put on a good match.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and we learn. I mean, trust me, I'm always a sponge wanting to learn. And if I've done something that if I mishap or something, I definitely want to keep learning. If there's something I'm not doing right, or if there's something that I messed up on, I definitely want to make sure that I correct something, or just I'm always wanting to make myself better, because you always want to make sure you want to keep learning and making yourself better, no matter how long you've been in it. Because if you think that you've reached the top and you don't need improvement, then you need to get out, because well, what's the use?
Yep.
if you think you're better than everybody else, right? So no, man, I greatly appreciate it, and the much respect back to you. And it's an honor, especially with everything that you've been through, and then I get to share the ring with you inside the ring with everything else
Not
you've
just
done.
the ring. We get to share the time right now talking
Yeah,
about your adventures, your progression, how you went, how you've gone, and how you continue to go. Because Texan's not lying. You are kind of a damn vampire. You just keep trekking, my brother, and
Well,
you keep going.
and not only that, I enjoy being on the card. I don't care if I'm the curtain jerker, the popcorn match, whoever come up with these damn names, or the main event. It don't matter to me as long as I'm on the card. I have always told Herb Simmons, whenever we go somewhere, we bring in ice, I volunteer to be the first one, be the first match. I said, I don't care. Whenever we go somewhere new, I want to be the first match. I don't mind bringing the ice for SICW. A couple weeks ago, we went down to Jonesboro, Arkansas. They said, hey, man, I apologize for having you on first. I said, I appreciate you having me on first for 2 reasons. One, I get to open up the show, get the people going, and 2, I can be on my way back home. So thank you. I appreciate being on first, because I don't mind.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Not like last night when he walks in the door and knows he's on last in a cage match.
I said, I said, how did I get in the cage? We got the champion here. Well, you the one we picked. So I said, okay. I thought you were just joking, but I'm ready to go.
Gary,
Things like that, man. I have been blessed to, be the over the match main event. But I don't care where you put me as long as I'm on that damn card.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. Is there anything new this year? Going to Herb now that you're looking forward to Cauliflower Alley. I mean, obviously you're going to be presenting Gary with this award. Um, anything else you're looking forward to this year? Anything special or anything in particular?
well, like I said, I've been getting a lot of messages from different promoters that I've met and talked with around the country, and everybody, of course, like Sheldon Goldenberg, people like that. Jason Jones is going out, so we all get together and get to chew the fat and catch up, and so I always look forward to that. It's a great networking. Um, they all know I stay pretty active on social media, and they all follow us. So what we're doing. So it's while I've been sitting here tonight, I've been getting direct some messages. But no, the highlight this year is Gary getting this award. I can't be more proud than anything to say that he's been in my locker room, been my friend all these years, and to him to have that honor, I think is just it's an honor for me to present it. I don't know what I'm going to say about him. I told him the other night. I'm still working on it, and of course, he says, "Well, what you don't say, I'll follow up with it." So I guess we'll just wing it. Because, like I said, there's so many stories, and just like we sit here tonight, only we're going to be doing this in front of probably 700-800 people in a ballroom, and they're going to be wrestling fans, they're going to be wrestlers, they're going to be legends, they're going to be promoters, referees, ring announcers will be there, the elite of the elite will be there, and to know that he's getting honored. I hope I don't get shy of words. Of course, my wife says I'm never lost for words. But it will be very easy to tell a story of a guy who is still out there kicking ass and taking names and answers the bell at any time that I've ever called him. And he's wrestled injured and go out there and you wouldn't even know it until he got back to the locker room, and then it's my ankle, and you sure couldn't tell it while you were out there, So, but no, I love him, and he's one of the Simmons family.
Man, that's awesome. That's really awesome. As we're getting toward the tapering down of this here, before I do anything else, let's see. Here we go. Favorite part of seeing the legend. I'm saying this legends. First time where I met Jerry Jarrett, and then he passed 6 months later. Yeah. And then this year, Kevin Sullivan was here, and now he's passed. So, like I said, Texas makes a good point here. You never know who's going to be here this year. People who are here this year may not be here next year. So, and it happens. But all we could do here is if you're going down there, let's make sure we're having some fun, getting some chance to, I guess, network, communicate with one another, just have a good time. And then, we're just going to, just have a blast. But before I get to my final part here, Z, did you have any other questions or anything else that's on your mind for either one of these two?
Well, I'm jealous of all three of you for getting to go. I can't wait for my turn to be able to go, and it will happen. I know it will. I have plenty of time to do it, and if so help me God, for some reason I don't get to go, then I don't get to go, and I get other adventures. That's fine. But I'm just so damn grateful to be able to sit in a room like this. I know we're not in the same room, but sitting here with you three guys, and Ruby, you've carried me for so long now doing this and paving the way for me and helping me learn and But I am so grateful that I get to spend time with guys like you, Gary, Big Texan, Herb, so many others, and get to learn from you guys, because this is all I want to do right here. This, like, yes, I love being at the commentary table, and it is something I enjoy thoroughly, and I never thought I'd get to touch it, and I'm very grateful for getting to touch it and do what I absolutely love and being that sugar on top. But right here, what we've talked about tonight, this is what I live for. It's hearing about the stories, hearing about the adventures, and getting to see guys have their mark out moments, talk about their mark out moments that have been in the business, that have held it down for so long, for guys like me, for guys like my kids that are coming up that love wrestling and enjoy it. I mean, I'm one of those guys. Gerald Briscoe Herb said 17 hours. I am literally one of those guys. I don't watch anything else but professional wrestling. Like, nothing else is on my TV. I don't care if it's indie. No, professional wrestling. I don't care if it's low grade professional wrestling or the high grade professional wrestling. I'm watching professional wrestling every day of the week, any day of the week. I don't care what promotion it is. I'm going to watch it at one point to see how it is, and then getting to sit here and talk to you guys about it. Sugar on top, dude. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for me gracing your presence.
You know, I'm gonna stop calling myself the indie. I'm going back to being an outlaw.
There,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I'm from the outlaw group.
I like that. I like that.
SICW, we the outlaw group.
Here's one thing before we go. I want to just throw out there. You brought up an interesting question to Gary earlier about his Mount Rushmore, and we've talked all about that before. But if you stop and think about it, in my opinion, your Mount Rushmore has to have a Bruiser Brody on it. And I've had this conversation with other people. The first guy that got out there and said, I'm going to do it my way because I'm tired of being done the other way and the boys getting screwed. And that's what he did. That's why he became that renegade. He became that outlaw. He's the one that went out there. You know, SICW was one of the first, if not the first, independent, and there's that word again, promotions that he ever worked for. And the conversations that I had with him and Larry Matisek and I was, he got screwed over by so many of the promoters. The promises that never come true. You know, the fight he had with Dick the Bruiser. I mean, I heard that whole story, and it was all over money. So when you talk about a Rushmore of our business, that guy has to be a part of it because, you know, guys like him, Dr. D. David Schultz, you know, the slap heard around the world, lost his life, basically his career, his livelihood, because he did what a promoter told him to do. And yes, I've seen the paperwork. I've seen the lawsuit. I've had hours of discussions with him about that. And the boys didn't really come to his aid. So that's why he's had such a bitter taste about the business in his mouth these days. That's why when he went to Vegas a couple of years ago, he told me the night before, and Gary, you was there. We were sitting in the nostalgia room, and he says, "Hey, Herb, you know what they've done? They've made a big mistake." And I said, "What's that?" He said, "Tomorrow night they're giving me a live microphone." And he ate him alive, I'm telling you. But it was all truthful. I mean, he talked, called the guys out. Hey, where were you at when this happened to me? Basically, You know, I remember the night I had to put a 357, pull a 357 gun away from your head a guy had on you, you know, and where were you when I had my problems? I remember when I took the baseball bat away from the guy that was beating your car up and going to beat you up. And I mean, he was calling them out right there. And they were all sitting there like, okay. But so guys that have bad taste that stood up for the business got a raw deal. And Brody would definitely be on my Mount Rushmore.
The thing about Mount Rushmore is that always bothers me because I think there's multiple Mount Rushmores.
Yes.
Like there's not just one. Like there's the business or like the star powered Mount Rushmore, you know, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, Ric Flair, Sting. Like that would be the money grabbers kind of thing. Or there's other ways you can go about that, but there's just different categories in my opinion with the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, because how can you have one Mount Rushmore? Because what Hulk Hogan meant through his era of times didn't happen back in the Lou Thez era, the Johnny Valentines and people like that. So, yeah, if you asked me, I'd have to have a Mount Rushmore with 100 people on it.
Yeah, people talk to me about wrestling. They're like, "Who do you not like, Zach?" I'm like, "Well, that's easy. Jeff Hardy."
That's
But
easy for you.
that Mount Rushmore is depends on the person and their age and what era they started looking at wrestling.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%,
Well,
100%.
and then I look at myself and being um, my own self. I mean, those three guys behind the wall. That's my three of my Mount Rushmore because
Right.
without those three, I'm not here. I'm not doing what I'm doing. And I mean, and then if I build from there, Dirty Dick Murdoch, Greg Valentine, people like that they introduced me to, that all great workers, that all had a place in the business, that were all superstars in different territories. So my Mount Rushmore would have a lot of people in it, believe me. And Gary, I'd probably put you on there.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
I appreciate it. I know there's Big Texan want to know who put the paint on me.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Actually, I did all the paint myself. The photographer, she was able to help me too. Whenever, like I said, whenever I moved around, she was getting like the back, the side, and everything else. I got the majority of the front. Before
Wow.
places that I couldn't get.
But that crack.
That's a good description, Gary.
Yeah, so
I'm glad it's late and all the kids are in bed.
So the paint was just on the front. So therefore we didn't do nothing on the back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
So
Well,
so it's me and the photographer who did the paint.
Okay. Yeah. So now the National Choir can rest easy now.
Yep.
Yeah. Now we won't go to bed worrying about that question. Thanks.
Yeah, like I said, we
Thanks,
used
Texan.
about 20 to 30 tubes of it because if I moved a certain way, we had to touch it up.
That's funny.
Gold paint, man. Oh man, I'm sure that was really safe for.
Yeah, it was paint that you can wash off. Everybody thought that I was painted gold all the way through.
Kind of reminds me of the story of the Tin Man and the Wizard of Oz. When Buddy Epson was slated for that, and he was allergic to the paint they used, and that's why he didn't get that spot. But you weren't allergic to it, so that's why you got to wear the leaf.
Yeah, it took more time putting that paint on than the actual photo shoot.
I would hope so.
Oh wow!
Because like you said, it was a cold studio from what you said. So
It was, man.
Man, well,
That's awesome.
She couldn't understand why that leaf kept growing.
Well, it was ready to fall off.
Yeah.
I was good when I went down there. Then it got cold. I'm like,
oh man. Well, before we get out of here tonight,
we hope we didn't ruin your ratings tonight.
No,
it's been good. It's been good. And by the way, with that Herb saying that, I'm going to steal the show from TikTok. Not TikTok, X. We see you. We thank you. You guys kill it like usual. Keep it up. We've had a good viewership today. We've had a really good viewership. So this has been a good show. You guys have done awesome. And it's been awesome to sit here and talk with you guys and have this experience, like always.
Yeah.
And we may be playing.
I don't know what TikTok is, but I'll believe you. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids.
Well, it's X Twitter killed it again. YouTube was really, really excellent today. Like I said, we got some of our faithful with Facebook, and of course we may be just showing this we may show this on replay on I don't know about Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know, but I think I can do a replay of it. But I could just stare it out. But as far as tonight, I mean, I want to thank both of you once again, and of course, Gary, much appreciated here. But before we get out of here, if it's possible, could I impose on you, for those who have not seen you, if you've not seen this guy in the ring or seen him in a promo doing something, could I impose on you to do the 4 rules for us before we get out of here?
Rule number 1, Daddy. I'm coming to win. Rule number 2 is I refuse to lose. Rule number 3 is I will do my best to beat you. And rule number 4, it's the most important rule of them all. If you know it, say it with me. Don't forget
The rules.
And there you go.
all aboard the night train.
Woo woo. Woo woo.
That's right. Man. Well, once again, Gary, I thank you very much for joining us here tonight. It's been a blast. It's going to be even a bigger blast down next week, Las Vegas. Being with like over 20 people. With
Hey,
just,
I tell you what we got to do. We all got to get together and get a cold beverage and send a toast back to Zmiz.
yes, we'll do that for you, buddy. And that's because we're thinking of you. We're not rubbing it in.
No. I said it to you, Ruby, when you messaged me, giggling. I could feel it. I could feel it in your text. The giggling little inner child in you texting me, bro. I'm going to Cauliflower Alley Club. Like, it's happening. I bought the ticket. I did it. And I could feel, Gary said it, we're all marks for somebody in the business. I could feel your markness, your nerdiness finally coming out of you. You weren't being the stiff butt anymore about wrestling. You were finally embracing your wrestling geek, and I loved it. So I'm stoked for you. You do not know how happy I am for you. Literally, I am jealous because I'm not going 100% because it is something I would love to do since I found out about this thing. But it's not my time. It is your time to do it. It is Gary Jackson's time to win the first ever reward of Indie Wrestler of the Year. Herb Simmons going down there again to give that award. Like, this is a monumental moment for all of you guys, and I'm proud to be just in the circle, breathing the same air.
That's awesome. But don't think I won't be a walking billboard for Falls Count everywhere while
Hey,
I'm down there.
It's not hard for you to be a billboard.
Yep. And Rick, you'll make you some connections out there. Maybe get you some guests lined up for your show.
You're not the only one, man. Everybody's a walking billboard for their organization.
Yep.
I mean, wait till I get there. The stuff I'm gonna be wearing to represent SICW.
Yeah.
So everybody does it, man.
And of course,
that's how you build that camaraderie.
We already taken bets, Gary, last night on how you're going to be dressed at the banquet.
Sharp. That's how he's going to dress. He's going to be sharp.
I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I know.
He came in with that peach suit at FanFest too.
Well, Herb, you like that. You're like that all the time because you always said you always keep a jacket with you for just in case.
Yep.
So, I mean, you set the standard every single day.
Well, I appreciate that.
So and that's another subject we can talk about, the dress code. We still haven't really talked about nothing because there's so much more we can get into. That we'll be talking this way until it's time to go to Las Vegas.
Well, there is a lot. It's a business that's got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know. Maybe 3 days is just not enough, man. Down there, it's not going to be enough. There's going to be something left over when we leave. So,
and that's the sole purpose of that. That's the angles that they work.
Yeah.
So you tune in next week or the next day.
Well, I got joked out there the one year. Rich England, the vice president, CEO, said that one of the trivia questions that they were going to ask, does Herb Simmons ever not wear a tie? Because they saw me with a tie on at breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Wow.
And where'd you get that from, Herb?
From Sam Muchnick.
Thank you, sir.
There you go.
I'm just not a suit guy. That's been one of my battles for years.
Yeah. I'm trying to Yeah, I'm trying to think how I'm going to be coming to the award ceremonies, but otherwise, yeah, I'm going to be pretty much a walking billboard for the
Yeah,
podcast.
they do
And,
the first night, Rick. The what they call the Bachwinkle blowout. They give some of the awards out, and that's they serve cold cuts and potato salad, and it's type of situation and tell stories, and then the next night is the big night where they have the sit down meal, and it'll probably be roast beef and uh, cordon bleu or whatever they call it
Yep.
and stuff like that. So
there you go.
yeah,
That'll work.
but there's restaurants everywhere. There's bars everywhere. So
Oh my
And
gosh, bars in Vegas?
and we are. I mean, we're right on Fremont Street. So it's
yeah, if you get
if
lost,
you can have fun there, it's your
if you
fault.
want to find any of the boys, just go to Fremont Street.
Yeah,
That's where they'll
if
all
you
be.
can't have no fun there, man, it's
You
your
may see
fault.
Bob. You may see Bob Orton over there. JBL, any of them.
Well, my hotel's on Fremont Street, so I mean, it's not like I'm going to be lost. I just
Yeah,
shoot up,
you'll be
shoot
right
up on the
there.
way to the plaza. Kind of interested to see what my hotel offers, man. I just don't want to
So
get too
your
comfortable.
hotel is on Fremont Street?
Yeah, yeah, Hotel Apache. It's on Fremont. It's probably about maybe a couple blocks down.
No, so when you walk up Fremont Street, you can walk right into the plaza.
Yeah,
Yep,
we're right on the corner.
Yeah,
yep,
so yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm excited. I am.
Mm.
So man, I'm gonna be excited to see all of you there.
yeah.
So
We can't wait to see you there.
man, once again, gentlemen, we thank you for dropping in. And guys, next week we're gonna try to do a replay of a certain show. I don't know what it's gonna be because obviously I'm gonna be heading off to Vegas. I'm gonna give Zmiz the night off, and then we'll be coming back August 25th. You never know what I'm going to be coming back with. I know I'm going to be coming back with pictures, maybe video. I don't know. I'm going to be bringing back some memoirs of the Cauliflower Alley Club, and who knows, maybe somebody might want to pop in and tell a story about it. So we're going to be talking more about Cauliflower Alley Club on August
Texan, wink,
25th.
wink.
Huh?
I said Texan, wink, wink.
Oh yeah,
Actually, Bobby D's going to be out there. Stephen E's going to be there. Like I
yeah,
said, Curtis Wild's going out. Him and his wife. So yeah,
yeah.
you may have to do a roundtable.
That
Oh
would
my
be actually
gosh.
fun.
It would.
That
be.
would be fun.
Oh my gosh, I gotta find out how many feeds I can get on one screen. Everybody's feed's gonna be like everybody's screen's gonna be like that
Teeny
small on
tiny.
the
Or
screen.
you do a two-parter, part one, part two.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He
Yeah.
who told the biggest lies.
Oh my gosh.
All right,
Yeah.
guys. I got some more work to do, and then
All right.
I'll see you all. And if I don't talk to you before, then I'll see Gary and Rick in Vegas, and Zmiz. I'm only a phone call away.
Thank you for that, brother.
Take care.
Have a good one, sir.
Yeah.
You know, I like to say thank you, man, for you guys inviting me. I like to thank
Yeah.
the fans who's listened to the show, all this good stuff, man. And if you need me again, just holler.
Man, yeah, it's been a pleasure, my friend. I thank you very much for doing this. And we like I said, I'm looking forward for all the chats next week. So we'll see what memories we can make down
Okay.
there. You know, I'm really looking forward to it. So,
All right, man.
all
Have a
right.
good one, sir.
Later.
All right.
So you guys.
All right, you have a good night, brother.
All right.
All right. So I think that's it, man. Like I said, didn't I not tell you this was we were not gonna have much else to
No,
do, but that's all right because we thank everybody that's viewed here tonight. We're gonna probably replay the show later on the week. We're gonna find one of my one of our better collaborate shows to play next week. And then of course, we'll be back on August 25th. But I don't know, man. There's just a lot. I know there's a lot
Just be-
that's going to be happening in the world of wrestling here. I'm sorry. To me, I was just thinking about this last night, but with TNA working with NXT, right now. I mean, the big thing that's working right now is freaking Olive Gallus and Joe Hendry, um,
Bro, the
going out to
Rascals just broke up.
what?
The Rascals just broke up.
Yeah,
What are you?
yeah, Wesley.
Like,
I mean, things are just going nuts now between TNA and WWE, between at least with that group, and you never know what else is going to happen. This is like totally nuts what's going down, and
did you see that Joe Hendry is going to have his own Peacock special?
what? Are you kidding me? Oh,
Yep.
man.
He was just bragging about it. Joe Hendry is supposed to be having his own Peacock special coming up.
Yeah, and here we go. Here with and it's pretty sad that Pretty Deadly still can't get their musical off the ground. So
Hey, don't be disrespecting Pretty Deadly. I actually like the thought of them and Tiffany Stratton kind of being a group together.
Oh man.
Or give me Chelsea Green in Pretty Deadly. But I just love Chelsea Green. How do you feel about the women getting a speed tournament on Twitter?
Yeah, I just saw that, and so I imagine the same rules apply, but
Correct.
why not?
And then my girl Chelsea Green wants to bring back that Divas title because of it.
Of course.
Don't hate. Just because it's the stupid belt doesn't mean anything. Because it's not a pretty belt, but that's a part of professional wrestling. Like TNA kept the Knockouts division and kept that name alive, and that's something cool because that sets them apart. The Divas division, yes, female wrestling is now being pushed to a bigger ceiling, but that Divas division was something special, even though it was not what we wanted to see in female wrestling.
Yeah, true. That's true. That's true.
And if they could bring it back and actually bring prestige to it, because think about the women, some of the women that carried that Divas title and legitimately deserved to be stars. Beth Phoenix, Candice,
Candice Michelle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Michelle McCool, Layla. Like there are so many awesome females of that generation. Victoria, like so many.
AJ Lee.
Don't get their flowers because of that belt.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, I think Paige ruined it all, but
No, maybe.
but that's another story that we're not going to bring up. But
no, it's cool. I'm glad. I'm a big fan of and a big component to the speed. I like the speed challenges on X. Thank you again, X, for just, destroying it. YouTube, you guys were killing it today. Like mad props right there.
Yeah,
it was an awesome show. Appreciate it all. Hit that like button. Share it out to your friends. Tell your buddies.
Yep. Hey, follow, like, and subscribe, and make sure
that notification bell.
Yeah. Hey, that QR code up in the top left-hand corner. That's going to get you to our link tree to where we're most active on. We did do some updates on that. So I don't know. I kind of taken down our Spotify link because that's kind of like our retro. It's like only like the first 9 episodes ever. So
it's the retro link.
Yeah, it's the retro link, But that's all right. You want to get your most updated stuff here. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram. And then, of course, with everything else, what I keep plugging every week, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch at Falls Count Everywhere. X at FCE Podcast. Of course, loving our X followers. Thank you very much once again for doing this. Like I said, I'm just nervous. I'm kind of the excited, nervous, and so I'm going to set to leave at 11:12 Central Time to 11:12 p.m. Sunday night. Get into Las Vegas around 12:57 a.m. Go Monday morning. Check in, get an Uber. Hopefully, be in my hotel room by 1:45 2 a.m. and then catch a good power nap before I'm out starting my week in Vegas. So it's crazy. I'm looking forward to it. So like I said, I guess there's really nothing really major happened because we know that Roman came back on SmackDown. There's a lot there's going to be a lot that's going to be unfolding to that. Raw's back on USA tomorrow night. Thank God the Olympics are over. And if we get USA back for Raw. And Mommy's going to be kicking it off, apparently, from what I hear. So making sure you're
Bronson
right
Reed
in.
getting that double fine.
Yeah. So make sure you're tuning into that. And like I said, watch all of it, brother. I mean, NXT's got stuff going on, man. They're rocking it. I'm telling you, yeah. USA 7 Central, and then of course you got SmackDown, but and then of course also if you get a chance, TNA. Start following TNA and NXT, guys, because I'm telling you, there's some really intriguing interpromotional alliances that are going to start being brought up and more in here. So our live broadcast is getting ready to end, apparently. So we better do at least a commercial background.
Later, guys.
Anyway, yeah. I've hit the background music, so
that's all right. OVW.
There you go.
AEW's still killing it. They're still doing stuff. All ends this weekend.
Well, yeah. All in? I thought. Oh, well, yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yep. All ends this weekend.
Oh well. But yeah, there's a lot going on, guys. But until then, we're going to cut out of here. Hey, guys, we thank you very much for joining us tonight. And we'll catch you live on August 25th. Catch us next week when we play Good Replay. So be entertained for that. And until then, I'm off to Vegas next week. We'll see you next week, guys. Have a good rest of your night and have a great week coming up.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
See you live in 2 weeks, though. See ya.